A regular meeting of the City Council held in Council Chambers on Thursday, July 21st, 2016 at 7 o'clock p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice this meeting was posted on July 19th, 2016 at 2:08 p.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. Please turn off your cell phone ringers. Councilor Fury at the moment is absent. I believe he'll be with us shortly. Council President Turiel presiding. Councilor Lovely moves to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. I now request that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Ryan.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Milo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask at this time that we suspend the rules to allow PBD City Councilor Tom Gould to address the council.
Seeing no objections, Councilor Gould.
The ice cream.
Thank you very much, esteemed members of the Salem City Council. I'm honored to be here and discuss the great cause that we are playing softball again for. We're benefiting, which benefits the Haven from Hunger in Peabody. We have our third annual game coming up on Thursday night, August 18th at Mack Park under the lights. And thanks to Councilor Milo, we're going to have another successful event. I just want to have the opportunity to talk about it on Salem Access TV and in front of your esteemed body. And we're not going to discuss what the record has been in the last 2 years.
Thank you. Last one was pretty close, I'll note.
Yes, it was. But I'm very honored, and we've raised almost $5,000 the last 2 years to benefit the food pantry, St. Joseph's Food Pantry, and the Haven from Hunger. We have a sponsor this year, Citizens Bank, Century Bank. So we're looking forward to the event, and I hope everyone can make it. And
So you're going to be bringing ringers this year in the bank?
I'm not sure there are any ringers at a bank.
Again.
But by all means, bring as many as you'd like to see if we can have a competitive game. So, thank you, Mr. President. Thursday night, August 18th at 6 o'clock at Mack Park, and it will be under the lights, and it will be broadcast live, right?
It will be. And we'll have announcements.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate it, Council. Thank you.
Good luck. All right. I entertain a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mayor Driscoll to, so moved by Councilor McCarthy. This is one of this, we have, as you may have noticed here, a sea of blue in the room. We have a number of police officers being sworn in, and one of the fun things we do, and for this we have Mayor Driscoll and Chief Butler. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President Turiel. It's always a pleasure to be in a position to welcome new members of our public safety team to the City of Salem. I've had the opportunity to meet with some, but not all of our new officers as they've graduated from the Police Academy and have already started their in-service training. And it's terrific, as you know, to have not only the extra set of hands, but to have folks who are eager and putting themselves on the line every single day, matching up with our existing group of really highly dedicated, highly professional public safety officers. And one of the funnest things we get to do is recognize the investments and decisions that we make in this chamber annually, funding public safety, ensuring that we have adequate training, to see the benefits of that and the actual people who we're putting to work within our community. So I'll bring up Chief Butler to have her say a few words about each of the individuals, and we'll commence with the swearing in. Prior to doing that, I do want to mention an important evening coming up in Salem. I think this will be our first time participating in the National Night Out program. That'll be August 2nd, just next month. National Night Out's been going on for about 33 years, a collection of communities and the Association of Town Watch that come together with Target, the retailer Target this year, to promote community efforts to make sure we recognize community policing, crime, drug, and violence prevention. And there's usually a series of activities in the evening that allows neighbors to come out and get together, meet a police officer, welcome them into their neighborhood or their home. And we'll be partnering with a number of organizations. Chief Butler and her team are leading this effort to make sure Salem residents are all aware of crime prevention opportunities that exist within our community. When I worked in the city of Chelsea, National Night night out was a big day. You know, playgrounds were all active, neighborhoods were out, just a big potluck and an opportunity for officers to meet neighbors, learn who your beat officer is, and a chance to know what other partner organizations exist within a community that you may be able to participate in and help with, you know, preventing crime within your neighborhood. Simple programs like porch light programs and neighborhood watches really give us all an opportunity to have more eyes and ears out on the street and promote safe neighborhoods and an opportunity to meet the police officers doing that every single day. So we're excited about that. I know that we have a resolution, but I wanted to make sure people knew August 2nd, look for an opportunity to get involved and meet your local public safety officers. And with that, I'll invite Chief Butler to the podium to say a few words about the individuals.
I have more than a few words. Mayor, thank you. I appreciate it. City Council, I appreciate you letting me sort of hijack your meeting for a few minutes, and I'll try to be brief. You know, I obviously want to thank, you know, any of the family members, loved ones, friends that are here for these particular 4 new offices, and also the offices of the Salem Police Department. They're going to require your support throughout their career, sort of on a regular basis, but not all the time, but at various points. And so your being here, your presence during this particular ceremony, I think is really important. But simultaneously, 4 new offices. I want you to think about, you know, the thanks and the gratitude that you need to give to your family members as well, because as much as you're going along on this journey, they're following you on that path. So I think that's important as well. So in policing at this particular point, I think we can all realize that we don't need to venture too far from any form of media at this point to really realize and see that things are going on in the policing profession at this point. It's clearly under scrutiny. There's been tragic loss of life, and there's been some lack of trust. And so, you know, with that particular thing going on, you find in a lot of other communities, and I will say that we don't find it here, that there is that sort of breakdown of trust, sort of misrepresentation, and those things that are going on. I think that we work really hard at trying to keep that going, but frankly, it's also apparent as a result of the people that are in this community as to why this is actually happening, and why we have a good relationship. So it is about the police department, but it's also about a very good community that we have, and we want to be able to continue that. But with some of these things that have gone on, 30 years ago, the Salem Police Department, when they were trying to put on recruits, literally had a list of about 300 plus deep to actually get on this police department. And right now, we have a small number of 57. And so it appears like that the interest in policing has waned, yet the responsibilities and the safety and the risk has increased. And so we're certainly going to be, you know, actively looking for people who are really interested in this profession. It may not be an easy profession, but I do think that is a worthwhile profession. I am happy that we have these particular 4 new recruits that had stepped up and are interested in us, and seriously interested, and you can see their commitment level. They made it through our rigorous screening process, and they made it actually through the Boston Police Academy. And I think that was probably not a small feat. And I think that the 2 Boston officers here, Officer, let me get your name right here, Bill, help me. Bill Shaw and John Downey.
And
So-
Officer Nancy Salucci's here also.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Nancy Salucci. All right, thank you for being here. I think it probably means a real lot to them, but you guys ran a great academy, and as a result, we have 4 very well-trained officers, and for that, I thank you. But your support here for them right now is definitely key and instrumental and important. So you can turn and say thank you to those. So as I said, the recruits that we have here right now, the new officers, they actually bring with them sort of an interesting array of experience in criminal justice, in community outreach. And so Jess Rondinelli, Officer Jess Rondinelli, up front here, she actually graduated with a criminal justice degree from Salem State. And she worked at both Endicott College and Gordon Cromwell with the campus police. And she's also worked as an intern with our police department to start off with. And she's also a certified RAD instructor, and I'm sure that we're going to make use of that service. Officer James Bedard. He graduated with a criminal justice degree from Westfield State College. He worked as a juvenile justice coordinator for the district attorney's office here in Essex County. And he worked security at several places, including our own North Shore Medical Center. Officer Kevin McDonald. He graduated also from Westfield State College with a criminal justice degree. He's worked at Bentley University Police. He has also worked as a reserve officer for the Manchester by the Sea Police Department. And he's worked with the Essex County Correctional Department in Middleton. And he has a beautiful daughter standing next to him, Haley. Officer Matt Fisher. He graduated with a criminal justice degree from Franklin Pierce, and he worked as an assistant program director for Communities Collaborative, do I have that right?
Correct.
And then he was also an outreach tracker to monitor at-risk youth. I think a real important program with the KEY program. In his previous life, he was a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Are you available for the softball game?
So we definitely have to find a different use for your arm, but we'll make use of it, definitely. And he has with him his fiancee, Brittany, and a beautiful daughter, Madison. Thank you. I couldn't be more pleased to actually be here officially swearing in these officers today. It's a much welcome addition to the Salem Police Department, and I'm sure the officers here can attest to that. I did feel like the academy training was really long and it was never going to end, but it did, and we're here today. So my advice to you as you're starting out your careers here with the Salem Police Department is this. Listen with more than your ears. Put your best foot forward, even and most especially on those days when you're finding it difficult. Think with your head and your heart. Our job as peace officers comes with a great deal of power, and with that power comes a great deal of responsibility. Treat it respectfully. Ronald Reagan said that peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. So we have conflict all around us, and you're going to need to handle it. And if you can do it from a fair and balanced perspective, I think you'll be doing this community and yourselves a great deal of good. So be alert, be safe, and try to enjoy your career. Thank you.
We're going to now administer the oath, and before doing that, I just want to point out, I see members of our Latino Leadership Coalition, and we've been working closely and collaboratively to make sure that as we're building our public safety officials, that we're also making sure they're reflective and representative of our community. And I want to thank Chief Butler and her team for all the work we're doing with civil service, making sure that we have a more inclusive force. We know that we're working closely to make sure we have more bilingual officers, more culturally competent officers, and that's a large part of the community policing initiative, and strengthening those relationships critical to those efforts as well. So I want to especially applaud the work that you're doing, and make sure that as I recognize members of our Latino Leadership Coalition, know that we're doing that in partnership with all of you to make sure that we are as representative as we can be within our force. And with that, let's swear in these new officers and make it official.
Should I line up here? sort of straight line there. Best we can. Actually, if you step over this way, yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure we get a good
Thanks.
Back. Doobies.
Let it behind you. You can step out a little bit.
You're going to read the oath, and when there's a pause, you can just fill in your name.
Down with the glasses and the green shirt. With the green shirt.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Jessica Rondinelli.
James Bedard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a Salem police officer,
as a Salem police officer,
acting to the best of my ability and understanding,
acting to the best of my ability and understanding,
agreeably with the Constitution and laws
agreeably with the Constitution and laws
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Salem,
of the City of Salem,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I, James Bedard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
I move for a quote-unquote 2-minute recess to allow them to take some photographs of their families.
Seconds? So moved. Reset, 2-minute recess. Motion to resume?
I didn't know there was anything in the common
Councilman Crackman moves to resume. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Also let the record reflect that Councilor Fury is now here. So now to pick up with our agenda, public testimony. We have a group of people signed up. First is Jeff Cohen. So, and for all speakers, name and address for the record when you come up, please.
Jeff Cohen, 12 Hancock Street, Salem, Chair No Place for Hate Committee. Just speaking again on behalf of moving the petition, the home rule petition to enable Salem to have Spanish language ballots to be expedited as soon as possible. The quicker we do this, the more access people have to voting. Thank you.
Next speaker is Tim Jenkins. Tim?
Thanks for letting me speak. I'm not sure we can actually ask a question, but I do have questions about our retirement funds. We're living in interesting times in the markets. We have extremely low interest rates, if not negative in some areas. We have a stock market that's at fairly lofty levels. And I see that we put about $10 million into our retirement benefit fund, I believe this year in the budget. And I think we're tonight voting on a supplemental total additions of about $1 million. And I'm just curious if we should be looking at this. I'm sure we have people in our finance department looking at it, but I'm wondering if we can share what we're seeing and what our projections are for the city. It's a large liability, and it would be nice if we were all informed and had some idea of what the road ahead might entail. So thanks very much.
Next, John Carr.
Good evening, John Carr, 7 River Street. I know you'll be taking up a proposed resolution tonight on web. And I would just like to take this opportunity to say that, to comment, first of all, generically, last time when web made its presentation, we were hearing it for the first time, and I said that we would reserve final judgment until we had had an opportunity to study it. And yet, even then, there was substantial good news, and I'm happy to report that substantial good news still exists. Obviously, if we put the technicalities aside, the expansion to the east is a vast improvement. The scaled-back mass and volume of their new facility is a vast improvement. The voluntary design review of the new facility is to the good. The no construction on the universal lot was always, was, and always will be our primary concern, but we still have reservations about the reliability of that going forward, but we can deal with that. The additional discussion that has come up since about, well, even then, there was going to be, Webb was giving up the public way, its original plans to acquire the public way, and that the public way be improved, and that the alpha lot in future discussions may become a public amenity for parking, for flood control, for beautification, for this important entrance corridor to the city, or a combination of all three. Now, if we keep in focus that we agree on all of the essential and on all of the material elements, everything else should not be problematic. But tonight you're being asked to vote on a very specific resolution. And to my way of thinking, that what that boils down to is a real case of putting the cart before the horse. Regarding the endorsement of the rezoning from NRCC to B4 for 295 Bridge, and from R2 to B4 regarding 297 Bridge. Well, as I see it, there are at least two fundamental problems, not just procedural, but substantive. In the mayor's covering note to you all, she mentioned that in September there will be a joint public meeting of the City Council and the Planning Board. Well, I would think that tonight you're being asked to endorse something before you have heard anything at that public hearing. Now, it seems to me that's like putting the cart before the horse, and it also seems to me that is making a sham and a mockery of the public hearing process. And why? This process is going to extend into probably October, September, something like that. What is the immediate need? Certainly to concentrate on those essential areas where the neighbors agree with Webb. I think we're there. The other thing I would ask you to look at is Section 3.0 of the Salem zoning ordinance, the table of permitted uses, and what you have there is for every zoning district in the city, you have a Y for yes, a no, or a planning board. And if you look for B4, it says retail wholesale is a N. It's not allowed in a B4. So that's one thing that needs still work on, and yet you're being asked tonight to endorse B4, and that's our principal concern, and we think that there are ways of really addressing that. Another thing it says is, in the resolution, is Chapter 60 tax title sale. Well, do you all know what that means? how does that affect the two-thirds vote of the city council that would otherwise pertain if this was a sale either by RFP or by public auction, not by tax title, but by the zoning ordinances of the city of Salem? Is there a minimum price? And if that is so, what is that price? And how and will this be an event triggering the obligation to repay and there's another floating number, either the $343,000 or the $500,000 to a mass development that won't be an obligation. Whatever is done after October of 2017. And I would hope that you would feel a responsibility to the Salem taxpayers to save money for them wherever possible. And again, with a little bit of creativity, I think there are ways of doing a deal that could address that, so that tonight, so that whenever it is that you vote, that you're able to vote, not because you're worn down or tired or whatever, but because you have made a fully informed and fact-based decision. We have time to explore all the possibilities between now and sometime in the early fall, September, October, to come up with creative ways of accomplishing all of Webb's parking, their delivery needs, their space requirements on the other side of the building, without inadvertently creating something that might come back to bite us. For instance, the deed restrictions are terrific, but the parties to a deed restriction can, by agreement, undo them. And that's a real concern of the neighborhood. And now that we're not at loggerheads, that we're not on opposing sides of the fence, we should be able to genuinely and substantively and collaboratively work together, the council, the neighbors, and Webb, to come up with a solution that identifies each of the problems that need to be tweaked and solve them for the good of Webb, the good of the neighborhood, and the good of the city, including the taxpayers, and there's a way of accomplishing all three. And I'll close by saying this has been a 7-month process. During that time, I have had a grandchild born for the first time and a mother pass away 2 nights ago. I feel like I've seen the whole cycle of life. And it does give me a broader perspective. And if Webb has taught us anything, it is that through this process, a better plan has emerged. And I would submit to you, it's not entirely because of the altruism of Webb. It's also because of the very powerful arguments that the neighbors presented in 5 public hearings, 5 lengthy public hearings before this group over a 5-month period that became compelling, and also because of the possibility of an appeal. And we don't have to figure out why the change. The change is for the good. And let's close the remaining distance, not act precipitously when there is no need to act precipitously, where there is general agreement on all the major points. Let's take our time and get the details right. Thank you very much.
Justin Whittier.
Hello again. Justin Whittier, 10 River Street. And I just want to say that my comments are reflecting my membership in FESNA and my membership in the group of the 30 that was formerly so vocal about our opposition. And I want to begin by saying that we appreciate all the changes that have been made in the creation of Webb's new proposal. The primary concern of breaking the cap on Universal has been relieved, and we're grateful for that. There's broad support for Webb's new proposal. There are details to work out, but it's a huge step forward, and we would be glad to support it. The question now is not what we want to accomplish, but how we want to accomplish it. So it's here where we need to focus on an important sticking point, and that's the rezoning to B4. We would argue that Webb's plan can and really must be realized without the proposed zoning change to B4. Membership of FESNA voted in support of abutters to Webb and did so unanimously on January 26 of this year, to oppose any zoning change to B4, and that still stands. It would take us in the opposite direction from that laid out in the NRCC master plan. It would introduce B4 into the corridor, a use that takes away the protection of design review, that allows 80% of lot coverage, no required buffer from residents, all these arguments that we've made to you before. In sum, it risks undermining a vision and a process which has brought and will continue to bring improved quality of life to residents and value to the city. If B4 is adopted, we run the real future risk of seeing development that would not protect the neighborhood's historic character and would not foster compatible development. We need to think of the future and not simply the immediate situation. But we, and this includes the erstwhile opponents of Webb, we want to work with Webb in the city and are confident that a way forward can be found. We're genuinely close to a solution, but there are details to be worked out. We've been given a reboot to this process, so let's take our time and make sure we do it right. I know we've been dealing with this for a long time, but that's all the more reason to get it right. The resolution offered by the mayor tonight asks for a lot all at once. Let's allow the process to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Doggett?
Tim Doggett, 9 Lynn Street. I was hoping the mayor was going to be here because I wanted to extend a hand of thank you for getting Beckford Way out of this discussion. And I wanted to tell her that I was looking forward to working with her and with the administration and the Historic District Commission and ultimately with the council at getting the boundary lines for the McIntyre District redrawn to include Beckford Way. That was a mistake that was made years ago. I don't think anybody really realized at that time what that was. But now that we know what it is, we really need to extend the boundaries to provide some degree of protection, if there will, another layer against what happened here, or what could have happened here. The next thing, of course, would be to go to the CPA and see if we can't get a little funding, put a sign up that says Beckford Way, because it doesn't even have a street sign on Bridge Street. So that was the thing. I want to talk about zoning for a second here, just so that everybody remembers that zoning goes with the property, doesn't go with the people or the owners. The FW Webb team has shown themselves to be very honorable and wants us to work with them, which we want to do. But business changes as you go downstream, and Webb may want to sell it. Webb may want to change their design. The giving of the B4, which doesn't work, the B4, it doesn't work. We should leave the zoning where it is. And the mayor has proposed writing a deed modification, I guess, that would outline what can't be done. I'd like to say that we might, with a little bit of thought, leave the zoning where it is on that parcel, and if necessary, write a modification that tells them what they can do, but limits what they can do. Yes, they can use it for parking. Yes, they can back their trucks up there. Those are things that I think we agree on, and it would be a lot better to have a positive agreement than a negative agreement. It's a lot easier to defend, if you have to, positives than it is negatives. And so I think that's something that we really should consider going forward. If you decide that we should not vote on the issue tonight, but to go to public hearings, I'd also like to suggest that we take the acrimony totally out of this and put together a comprehensive group made up of Webb, the city, the neighbors. Bring them together. Let them talk this out. Let them come back and say, we're in agreement. We don't need to change the zoning for their property, because everything they've proposed to do can be done in an RCC. But there is no need to make that into a B4. And we don't think that there's any reason to make the old Universal Steel property B4. I think there are ways. We're smart. There is the argument that has been brought up that this will never be residential. I'd like to say that in the last 8 years, we have seen the United States go from being oil dependent at the mercy of the people in the Middle East to being an oil surplus, an oil provider, and it was done by technology. We came up with a new technology for oil, and it has changed everything. Where oil was $100 a barrel, I think today it's trading at 43 or 44. That's technology. Cleaning up that property will also be cleaned up by technology. There's a ton of properties in this country that need to be cleaned. Technology will find a way to do it. The cost, I think, that I heard was $1 million to clean that property. I'm willing to bet that in less than 10 years, it'll be half that price, and 5 years later, it'll be half that price. That's the way technology works, and that we need to look downstream. We need to look 40 years in the future. Yes, we can accomplish having Webb grow, prosper, do what they want without changing those values that established that R2 30, 40 years ago, whenever it was done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Meg Toohey.
Yes, spoken for me, thank you.
Okay, Jane Arlander.
May I please give my position to Jennifer Fern, President of Historic Salem, Maine?
Unless there's an objection, I'll allow that. Seeing none?
Okay, Historic Salem does support the new development proposal, and we applaud the reuse of that historic warehouse building. That's a great thing. One thing we don't support is the rezoning. Rezoning to B4 would be in contravention of the North River Canal Corridor Master Plan and remove the oversight provided by the Design Review Board. It would create the risk of a very large and incompatible development in the future. B4 allows buildings 45 feet tall, covering 80% of the given lot, and with no required buffer from the residential areas. This would also set a bad precedent and open the door to more B4 throughout the corridor, backing up to all of the historic homes in the McIntyre district. Moreover, we don't believe it's necessary. Webb's use predates the NRCC zoning designation, and I don't think they require any change of zoning to continue operating. They're merely seeking a reasonable expansion, and that expansion could be accommodated in several ways, such as special permits or variances with no change in zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Move forward with testimony. Hearings, none. Councilor Fury?
Please, Mr. President, on a point of personal privilege, last night at the meeting of the City Council, Councilor Lovely and City Clerk LaPointe and myself were talking about exchanges of Chinese exchange program. That's Councilor Lovely's daughter went to China and spent a year. Councilor Lovely?
She went on 3 different occasions, but not for a year.
Quite an extensive time. And we adopted a part of that exchange program, a sister city relationship with a village there, and we were talking about that last night, when and where and what we're doing with that. And lo and behold, tonight in the audience, Connie Allender, who has been very involved in the Japanese auto exchange program. And as you all came in the front door, you saw the case, a beautiful display of exchange with the auto exchange. And Connie's been the pioneer, and she's brought so many good people over. I've had 40 students stay at my house from OTA. I've had about 20 different adults stay. It's a wonderful exchange. So I hope somewhere along the line, soon, we can have the same type of relationship. Because lo and behold, tonight, Councilor Lovely, is, if I may have 3 students stand. Would you stand for a minute? I had 3 Chinese students staying at my house tonight for the next 3 weeks. And China is a big part of the global economy that we have. And as we all know, tourism is a big industry in Salem. Whether it's for the McIntyre district, we're talking about, and they're visiting. When I visited China for a month, and I visited a McDonald's in Beijing, China. We just ate at the Subway market just before this meeting, Subway, down the street in Salem. When I went to a McDonald's in Beijing, China, 3-story McDonald's, I ate with my friend of mine, and on 3rd story, and a young man going to college, and one of their sisters is going to college next year, came over to me and said to me on my name tag, "Mr. Fury, where are you from?" And I proudly said, "Salem, Massachusetts." And this young man going to college said to me, "Oh, Peabody Essex Museum? Witchcraft? McIntyre District?" He talked about everything in Salem. I said, "Wow, right in the middle of Beijing." And here we're talking about F.W. Webb and all types of things. How lucky we are. And I hope sometime we have an exchange program with the sister city relationship we have on the scale of OTA. It's a win-win situation. So coincidentally, remember last night, Council, City Clerk LaPointe, we talked about dates and times and when that all took place? Just to bring that to reality, we could have that. I have my house. It's a beautiful program. I had it with Connie, and it's gone so far, so long with the students. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Could I just have them say their names, please?
Sure, and welcome to Salem, man.
Would you like to say your name?
My name is Wong.
My name is Tom. My name is Leo. So thank you very much for personal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, just in response, my daughter went to Northeastern and went to teach English on 3 separate occasions, 3 different years. She brought me this tie that I've proudly worn many times. People ask me what it stands for. My daughter can't tell me. $200,000 education at Northeastern. Perhaps after this meeting, maybe one of the gentlemen will be able to explain to me what the tie is.
Translate your tie.
I always tell people it's a poo-poo paddle for 12, but thank you very much for coming and welcome to Salem.
Anybody else? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also would like to welcome them. For 6 years, I welcomed 8th graders from Otaku into my house as well. 6, I think it's 7 students altogether. And I believe the good Council Ryan next year will be doing the same thing next year. So welcome to Salem.
Appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Michael Quigley, 167 Kennedy Drive, Malden, to serve as a member of the Salem Youth Commission with a term to expire June 23rd, 2017.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
No discussion. I think it's a great appointment by the mayor, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the Youth Commission.
Nice. Seeing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Turiel?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Michael Quigley to the Salem Youth Commission, 11 councilors present, 11 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. Matter carries. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Quigley to address the council if he so wishes.
Seeing no objection, Mr. Quigley.
He's in the chamber.
He was.
Thought he was.
Saw me, he left with the police. Good. Further appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Alexander Mitchell Minerva, 123 North Street, Salem, to serve as a member of the Board of Registrar Voters with a term to expire June 23rd, 2019.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, again, this is another great appointment by our mayor of Attorney Mitchell Munivar. He has lived in Salem for a number of years. He is raising his family here. He also he brings legal expertise to the Board of Registrar of Voters, which I think will be greatly beneficial for that board. One thing that he said to me in my conversation with him is that he's always found Salem to be a welcoming place, and he has a commitment to community, and he wants to continue to support that. So I am strongly in support of Attorney Mitchell Munivar's appointment. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Fumiko.
Yes. So I've known Alex for several years now. We actually first met at a Latino Leadership Coalition meeting over right downtown on Essex Street. Even several years ago, he was moving to push forward what we're doing and to connect with the schools and other opportunities with that. And he also does martial arts where my nephew goes, where some of his family goes as well. But I'm glad to have somebody with not even a legal expertise, but also someone with kids in the schools that are going to be future voters, and to have the outreach for that, and to have someone of a different background be part of our Board of Registrars. So I'm really happy that he applied and that he is joining this board.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in strong support of Alex joining the Board of Registrars. I won't repeat what my colleagues have already said, but I would say that Alex was a key drafter of the Memorandum of Understanding that still has not been signed by this body, and I hope that this can be a first step toward this body signing on to the Memorandum of Understanding, which already the Board of Registrars has. So I welcome that. Definitely welcome Alex to the Board of Registrars, but I hope this is a positive first step.
Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, I think we're very fortunate and blessed to have Alex serve with his caliber and commitment. We've met over the years in different meetings and so on. He's very articulate and bright. You have some very difficult shoes to fill. Pete Sandin, a Purple Heart recipient, and I hope we sent him the City Seal. Council, I think we sent him the City Seal for all his service, for serving in the Board of Registrars, that you're going to take his place and help put Salem to the 21st century. So thank you very much for your public service. Thank you. Welcome.
Any further discussion? Councilor Sargent.
I'd like to recommend, if we haven't already, that Peter Sandin be given a City Seal for his service on the Board of Registrars. And much as I'm very supportive of Alexander, and a very, very good and qualified man, I'm very disappointed to see Peter go. And I know Peter wanted to stay, and Peter's a decorated veteran, Purple Heart recipient, served this country well, and I wish he's able to stay, but I also support Alexander and wish him well in his position also. And part of it might have had to do with the Memorandum of Understanding, but I firmly believe, as far as me and this body, that our oath of office is very strong and supersedes any memorandum anybody can write. When we raise our right hand and we uphold the laws of the city, the state, and the federal government, I believe that's as strongly as we can support people's rights in this country. Thank you.
Any further? Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just note for the record that at our last meeting, Philip Sangden was indicated. We've already indicated that we were sending a seal, so that was done at our last meeting.
Done that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Opposed by people.
Seeing none. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Fumiko?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Alexander Mitchell Munivar to the Board of Registrars of Voters, 11 councilors present, 11 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we suspend the rules to allow Attorney Mitchell Munivar to address the council.
So move, Mr. Munivar. If you would.
Good evening. Alex Mitchell Munivar. I wish to first extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to this body for their trust and their confidence in me, and for your vote in my confirmation upon this board. I look forward to serving the city, to work with Madam Clerk, and all the duties and responsibilities that are within this particular position, but I also wish to say that I look forward to moving forward our city and what I believe to be our joint vision, that our city, this government, and our community works better when we have a participatory process that involves all our communities. And I look forward to working with both the other members of this board to help to increase the voting participation in the city, to help to improve access for this city, and that to really push forward what I believe is wholeheartedly the best city in the Commonwealth, in the North Shore, Salem, Massachusetts. So thank you.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
Mr. President?
Yep.
Can I move, actually, because the next one is being held under the rules that we take out of order, page 21. We have Miss Guy in the audience, and I will call her out on this. It is her birthday, and I'd like her to be able to celebrate part of it.
We have one more confirmation. We have a couple more confirmation. We have one more confirmation with a person present to do, so.
Okay, after that one.
Yeah, we'll get through, let's get through the confirmation, because there's only a little bit more. It's going to go fast. So, further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Mary Lobby, 8 Riverbank Road, Salem, to serve as a member of the Board of Health with a term to expire on July 21st, 2019.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we hold under the rules.
Councilor moves this be held under the rules. In favor, opposed, so moved. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have mayor's appointment of Colby Miller, 12 Winthrop Street, Salem, to serve as a member of the Beautification Committee with a term to expire on July 21st, 2019.
Councilor Lovely.
Move confirmation by roll call vote.
Well, you have to make the motion.
Well, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
What?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Is he here?
Is the person here, or are we?
I have no idea.
It's just move it be held under the rules.
Sorry. I made my motion. If somebody else wants to make that motion, they can.
Okay. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you. I move that this matter be held under the rules.
All right, Councilor McCarthy moves to be held under the rules. No objection. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further appointments and reappointments.
Mayor's appointment of Thomas Daniel, 27 Pond Street, Essex, to serve as the City of Salem's Director of Planning and Community Development with a term to expire January 31st, 2018.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the rule 29, that normally we hold nominations for one time, but Mr. Daniel did work for the City of Salem before. We know him, and he's here in the chambers tonight. So if there's no objection, I move that we suspend Rule 29 to allow the nomination to go through.
See no objection. Councilor Ryan.
Move for, confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Ryan moves for a confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Under discussion. Mr. Daniels worked for the planning department. Forgive me, I don't know how long you worked in Salem, but I know you were there for a while. He did a great job. When I was on the council first, the big project I remember was the downtown parking. Put a lot of effort into that. And then I bumped into when he left, I worked in Gloucester, and he had just gone up to the planning department up there, and on my lunch break, they were doing I think it was the Harbor Walk. They go around in those little areas. So I was like, I'm going to go check it out. And I bumped into him probably within 1 or 2 weeks after he left Salem, or it might have been the process. And two great communities, Gloucester and Salem. And I'm glad that he's back. I miss Lynn Duncan, but I think you're going to be a great replacement. You're going to do your own thing, because I think you have your own set of skills. So I'm glad you're back. Thank you.
Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, I strongly concur with Councilor Ryan. Two great cities, Salem and Gloucester. Indeed, Salem wins by having you come back. 8 square miles, what's happening in Salem, most cities and towns will give their right arm. It's an exciting time, 21st century. Many of us in this room have some different issues and so on, but we all love Salem. And I know you love Salem, and thank you for coming back to be with us again, to put Salem back on the map in 21st century. Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy.
I too want to rise in support of Mr. Daniels. Councilor Ryan referenced the comprehensive downtown parking plan. And At the time, Ward 1 was a little more involved in downtown as the ward's boundaries changed in the last couple of years. And I think that Mr. Daniels and I attended so many meetings with regards to the downtown parking plan that I think I could have finished his sentences sometimes, and he got it down where it was like, it was the same presentation to, I can't tell you how many different groups we had to go to present, and he just did a fabulous job. I think it's great to get him back, the familiarity with the city and what's been going on in the city, and I think he's going to be seamless transition right from Lynn. Will be sorely missed right to Tom, and I think it's going to be a great asset to the city, and great to have you back.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I typically would not rise for something like this, but having spent some 14 years in the planning department in the 80s and 90s, I look forward to working with you. So welcome back. Thank you.
No further discussion. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Turiel?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Thomas Daniel as the Director of Planning and Community Development, 11 councilors present, 11 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the rules to now allow the new director, Salem Director of Planning and Community Development, Mr. Tom Daniels, to address if he would like. He doesn't have to, but
He'll probably be sticking around for a while today.
one of many times.
I'll keep it brief because I know we want Jane to get to her birthday celebration, but it's really, I appreciate all of your support. Many of you I've worked with in the past, and many of you I haven't, but I look forward to working with you. I loved my time in Salem, and I've really valued my time in Gloucester, but I'm thrilled to be able to return to work with you and the broader community and just advancing Salem. It really is a dynamic and exciting time in Salem, and it's a really special place that I hold dear in my heart, so I'm really, really grateful to be able to come back and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Andrew Scoglio at 62 Leach Street and Liam McCarthy, 1 Harbor Street, to the Salem Cultural Council.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be received and placed on file.
Councilor McCarthy moves that these be received and placed on file. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of the following constables and their terms to expire. Kevin Carroll, May 26, 2017. Scott Wesley Beecher, May 27, 2017. Joseph Chiminento, April 18, 2017. And Devin Paul DeRosa, June 7, 2017.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be received and placed on file.
Councilor McCarthy moves these received and placed on file. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could we now move to page 21 to take the common fence item out of order?
Councilor Famico moves that we move to page 21, take this out of order. Communications from city officials. Seeing no objection. Communications from city officials.
We have a communication and order from Jane Guy, Assistant Community Development Director, submitting an order for an appropriation within the CPA funds for fiscal year 2017 for Phase 2 restoration of the Salem Common Fence in the amount of $8,000.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this matter be received and filed.
Councilor Epley moves this be received and placed on file. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications to the officials.
Ordered that the $8,000 is hereby appropriated within the CPA funds for fiscal year 2017 project listed below, which is the Salem Common Fence repair.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will, very briefly, I'll open it up if any councilors have any questions, but my understanding that this additional $8,000 repair amount was recently been approved by our CPC committee. that this, again, goes toward the continuing repair of the Salem fence. Can't remember how far along we are, whether it's half or two-thirds or... Phase 3 of many? Okay. I think that this is, I certainly am in strong support of it. I think it's money well spent. This is what the CPA fund was established for items like this. So I would encourage my colleagues to vote in support of it tonight. If for some reason there are any questions, I would entertain certainly Ms. Guy coming to the podium to answer any of those questions.
Councilor D'Amico?
Mr. President, I'd just like to say thank you to Erin Schaefer and Jane Guy at the Planning Department. Through this whole process, they've done a great job with communicating with the folks in the Common, with presentations, showing them what's been happening along the way with the castings and the different sections with before and afters. And for those people, a lot of whom are in this room right now, historic preservation is costly, especially when it comes to some of these old fences, and the process involved is quite lengthy. So I'm very thankful for them on those endeavors.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Happy birthday, Jane.
Happy birthday. Councilor D'Amico.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's not mine, it's actually Councilor McCarthy's, but I'm wondering if we could take out of order page 11. Page 11, the second item down regarding the home rule petition.
Seeing no objection, we'll go to communication from the mayor on page 11. Second item down.
Order that a home rule petition for an additional liquor license for the sale of alcoholic beverages to be drunk on the premises for Ragazza Hospitality Group to be located at 41 Lafayette Street.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this matter be referred to the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor McCarthy moves this be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion?
No discussion. I think it's practice of we're bringing these different groups that are requesting the addition of a liquor license that at this time with their intentions are known, and then if anybody in the council wishes to have a conversation with them with what their expectations are, then we'll have a Committee of the Whole meeting, then we'll refer it back out, and hopefully we can get it referred back out in a timely manner.
Make sure we do that before our first September meeting.
Yeah, but once we get back in
make sure to
September,
do that.
the meetings aren't until the end of the month, so we have time before then.
All right.
And I'll leave that to your being a Committee of the Whole.
All right. On Councilor McCarthy's motion, this be referred to the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we take this out of order, and we move to pages 12 and 11. I know it's not mine, but there's quite a few people here for the web development here tonight.
I suggest we start with page 12, because that's a simple procedural. So, that communication from the mayor.
We have an ordinance amending the zoning map for the parcels located at 293 Bridge Street, North River Canal Corridor to B4 Business Wholesale and Automotive, and 297 Bridge Street from Residential 2-Family R2 to Business Wholesale and Automotive B4.
Councilor D'Amico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council.
Councilor D'Amico moves to refer this to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council. Under discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor D'Amico's motion to refer this to the planning board, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have a resolution regarding the disposition of the former Universal Steel parcel and the rezoning of 293 and 297 Bridge Street.
Councilor D'Amico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Seeing no objection, I'd like to suspend the rules to allow the mayor to address the council.
Seeing no objection, Madam Mayor.
Appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening on a topic that I'm sure is familiar to most of us. I also want to recognize officials from Webb's and their counsel, Joe Carenti, who are also here, and I would certainly welcome the council to pose any questions or inquiries they may have to them as well. I do very much appreciate the discussion we've had to date on this project and initiative. I think we've all been informed more easily with respect to concerns that have been expressed by neighbors. Most assuredly I have, as well as Webb's, and I want to commend them for coming forward with an alternative proposal that I think really goes goes very, very forward in trying to address all of the concerns that have been raised by neighbors and by others. In particular, just to be clear on sort of where we are today, my understanding of sort of where things are at, the council has voted to declare the lot surplus at the last meeting that we had on this very topic. And at present, we're hoping that we can move forward with disposing of this Universal Steel lot using the tax title auction process. We've talked about separating out parcel B. There's an abutter that's always been interested, and that was part of the original proposal to make sure that that was disposed of in a manner that would enable that abutter to have access to that. We'd also do that via auction. It's part of the same Universal Steel lot. We'd like permission, and has been requested by Webb's, to rezone both the Universal Steel lot and their Webb building lot to the B4 zone. I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that, as are Webb officials. And then we've also talked about working with Webb as part of this resolution to look at the possible transfer or acquisition of this Alpha Auto site. As you know, the original plan incorporated Alpha Auto into the development project. And if you've driven by it, it's you know, it could use some TLC. It's a little bit unsightly. In the discussions that I've had, certainly with Councilor Formica and with some others, the idea was, can we keep the project site the same and think about how we might be able to use that Alpha Auto site in a manner that might be beneficial to the neighborhood, beneficial to the city. There are no great designs on that. I want to be clear that this was not something that Webb is planning to donate to the city or anything like that. It would really need to work for them and work for us. And there's due diligence to do on that. Obviously, we want to make sure there are no hazardous contamination on that site, and we need to understand cost and value, and we haven't had that site appraised. But it does feel like if there's an interest in pursuing that, there may be an opportunity to do that and put an end cap to this whole project and process that hopefully can provide some benefits to the neighborhood as well. So a little bit about the zoning, and then I'm certainly happy to answer questions, or as I said, the petitioners are here. I think, as you know, the alternative proposal is to build an addition on the existing Webb's brick building. The initial plan would obviously have put an entire building on the Universal Steel lot. The proposal now would be a 16,000 square foot addition, 2 stories, roughly 8,000 square foot plate each, and the use of the Universal Steel lot would be parking primarily, a little bit of a loading zone where they could unload equipment and supplies, and then some external storage. Webb's would be precluded. There'd be a deed restriction precluding any vertical construction or a building on that site going forward. In return, Webb's is looking to make sure that both parcels they would be owning, both the Universal Steel lot and the brick building that they're currently on, that they would be zoned in a way that's compatible to allow their use to go forward. Just a little bit of the history on the zoning, at least from what we could look up. This site back in 1955 was zoned industrial. In 1962 or thereabouts, 1965 or thereabouts, the zoning was changed to R2, and it remained R2 until 2005, when it was then changed to the NRCC. We know that Webb's has been in operation in the site since the early 50s, so in all likelihood, the industrial zone certainly met their early needs. I don't know what the machinations were to change it to R2. I just know that it certainly was an industrial use for a long period of time. With respect to the zoning, I did hear some of the concerns expressed by abutters. You know, it's hard to find a perfect zoning ordinance, one that works for every district in the way that it's designed, and I think that's definitely true with both the B4 and the NRCC. In looking at it, I think by rezoning it, it will certainly allow the underlying zoning to comport with the use of this lot, a historic use, or of the 2 lots now, historic use for both of these sites has been primarily industrial in nature or commercial in nature. But I also think sometimes we get lost in looking at B4 and thinking it's this heavy industrial business 4, like this big business district. And in fact, when I look at it and I compare it to NRCC, there are obviously some differences, but I don't know that it's the big boogeyman that everyone anticipates that it could be. I'll give you just a couple of for instances on that. B4, for instance, does not allow manufacturing, not light manufacturing, not any manufacturing, no contractors' yards or landscaping businesses, bottling or processing plants. Mini storage would only be allowed by special permit. It certainly does preclude housing, but it does not preclude a PUD, a mixed-use proposal. It allows for art studios and workshops and business professional offices. A drive-through facility would only be allowed through a special permit. I'm not sure how we'd get a drive-through on the current building given the size of it, and we know there's a deed restriction. Remember, we're really just talking about the brick building because there would be a restriction on the Universal Steel lot precluding vertical construction. Something like a hotel would require a special permit from the ZBA. It allows for museums. It's not only this sort of heavy industrial use that you might think if you think of a B4 use. A quick perusal of NRCC, frankly, allows buildings that are up to 45 feet. It allows significant housing on that site. If there was an existing building, the ordinance actually allows for a density bonus. If it's affordable housing, even a greater bonus. It allows for loading facilities. It actually has some conflicting legislation around drive-throughs. It allows for manufacturing and light manufacturing. There are things in the NRCC zone that I would hazard to guess that people would be concerned about in that building if that were in place. And so the point that I'm trying to make is there really isn't the perfect ideal zoning that meets every single institutional use you can have on a site. We do know that Webb's has been there since the early 50s. I think they made every good intention to demonstrate to us that they are planning to make an investment and be here for a long period of time. They are hoping to have both lots zoned B4 so they can fit comfortably with what the use is that's proposed on that lot and be consistent with the use that's been on that lot since certainly since they've been there. I'm happy to answer more questions or certainly address any concerns, as are the Webb officials who are here, Mr. Correnti, their counsel, or any of the principals, Bob Muccaroni, Mr. Muccaroni, the vice president, who's also been here, who can speak more to that. I am certainly conveying their interest in terms of the rezoning proposal. That has been their request and one that we think makes sense given where we are with this project and the changes and alterations that have been made to date.
Councilor Lovely.
Mr. President, through you, what type of relief would they need under the current zoning for the building itself to build in their parking lot? Are they able to get a variance to do their building?
I don't know. I certainly haven't done a zoning analysis. I'd be happy to have Mr. Correnti, perhaps, if he knows the answer to this, share whatever insights he can with respect to that question. And could you just repeat that, Councilor?
Yeah, currently, take the universal lot out of the picture for the moment. Just under the current zoning, what relief would they need, or is there relief that is available to them to build a showroom on their current site?
We don't have and for the record, Joseph Correnti, 63 Federal Street, representing FW Webb. Council, we don't have a fully engineered site plan yet at this point, but what we do know from the plans that we've submitted is that the addition, which would go on to the NRCC lot, certainly would come out and be part of, it would infringe upon the buffer zone of the NRCC, so it would be a variance there. It's likely that this parcel is NRCC Transitional Overlay District, so that would require a 50-foot buffer from residential use. Looking at expansion on this lot as it's currently zoned would trigger certainly at least one and perhaps multiple variances from the Zoning Board of Appeal. So it's not at all consistent with NRCC zoning.
But relief, through you, Mr. President, the relief would be available under the current zoning. Through those variances. There'll be no, in other words, as you and I know, in some districts, you can't get the relief that you want for a particular location. But for this, the relief is available under the current zoning.
It looks like we could go to the Board of Appeal. We would have to get multiple variances, perhaps special permits as well. With the caveat that, a full zoning analysis and a full engineered site plan, has yet to be completed, so.
Councilor
My next question on the same vein. The only intention for the universal lot is for parking, is that correct?
It's what we showed you at the last meeting. And on that lot, it has lay-down area, it's some storage, it has loading docks, there's access into the building, and of course, there is parking and there is access over that lot to get to our building and our loading docks.
But if that was rezoned NRCC, would parking be allowed? Is there a variance or a special permit mechanism under that?
Council, that analysis would require some study. We haven't looked at rezoning that NRCC, so we would have to look at that. And
I guess my question would be, what would be, if it were rezoned to B2, what would be the I know I'm not holding, it's just off, or the B2 was amended to allow parking, would that, because the big concern is for, once the property is sold, that somebody else comes in and uses the B4 zoning to do something that the neighborhood may not want, or the city may not want, at least at this point in time.
We understand
That's my
that,
thought.
and, pardon me.
Okay, thank
We
you.
understand that concern, and we thought that in the presentation, it was made clear at the last meeting that a deed covenant was agreed to so that there couldn't be any construction on that site, and that runs with the land. I don't know that there's any zone in the city of Salem that would allow the parking lot to be used for industrial purposes or access to industrial purposes other than B4, and perhaps one or two other industrial type zones. So that's the study that needs to be, that's the analysis that needs to be done, but it's currently zoned R2, and we're not at all convinced leaving it in R2 would be appropriate and would be usable for the purposes as set out in the plan. I would take issue with some of the comments made earlier that this plan can just be done with a series of variances and special permits. We're not convinced that's the case at all.
Thank you.
Councilor Epley?
Thank you, Mr. President. This question is to either Mr. Carenti or to the representatives from Webb. For the resolution that's being sought for passage tonight, if we don't approve that resolution as drafted this evening, what are Webb's interests in continuing with this project?
It's up to me. Bob Mucciarone, 17 Tar Box Lane, North Reading. It's probable we'll leave. We're going to quit. We believe. Let me give you a little scenario of what's happened here in the last 7 months. You know, I've sat through every meeting, and I've listened to the neighbors and their concerns. I watched the faces of the council members, and as it progressed, you know, my belief was we were putting the council members in an awkward position where they were listening to what the neighbors were saying. I know you had some concerns. We went back and thought about those concerns, and I thought it was unfair to put you in that position to make a decision based on the facts that were presented in this meeting. Could we have prevailed and gone forward with that proposal and fought through it? Certainly could have. But it was our belief that wasn't fair to the council members. That's why we went back and tried to address every single concern that was presented in this meeting, in the number of meetings we had. So that's what we did. We're not prepared to continue to spend money with variances and special permits where we don't think it's necessary. We think it's unfair that our building, currently where we're at, is zoned NRCC. I don't think it's right. You know, it's always been industrial. It's the way it's been. But now it's NRCC, so now we're saddled with another dilemma, that we have to go through a number of processes, variances, and I'm not even sure what special permits we'd have to go through. You know, the pot for us is not endless. You know, we've got a lot of money sunk into this already, you know? Paying for lawyers, we're paying for engineers, paying for construction skilled people. I hate to tell you what I've got sunk into this. It will not continue. So if we're going to go through this, you know, if we're going to make or allow what I consider to be an issue that's it's simply not, it's not vital to the town, in my thinking. We've got an industrial building on the lot right now. It's not in conformance right now. So what is the compelling reason to not allow us to rezone and make both properties the same zone, which would be B4? if we don't get this, you know, I got to talk to Jeff Pope, the owner of the company, but it's likely we'll leave. Very likely.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just state that I'm in support of the resolution. There were some comments made in public testimony about putting carts before horses. I think that, if anything, we've been on a long train, and this is the caboose. That's where we are. So I hope that my colleagues will vote in favor of this and that we can move forward with some positive development in Salem.
Councilor Fury.
I strongly concur with Councilor Epley. I wish to sincerely thank FW Webb for their perseverance, their passion, listening to what's been processed as a city council body and as a city itself. It is to the best interest of the city of Salem that we resolve this, move on. For the sake of the city, 21st century planning, a new planner on board, let's get on with it. Sincerely, our time is now to move, keeping a well-established, well-respected company in Salem. I sincerely heard from reliable sources, a number of them, saying that our sister city of Peabody has offered Webb gifts and all types of things. Come on over. Guess what? If Webb gives up, they will. It'd be insane not to. Go to another city down. It's easy to get in and out of. We value Webb and other businesses to reinvest in Salem. It's 8 square miles. It's very difficult to get in and out of. I work at the Peabody Essex Museum. People have the hardest time to get to the Peabody Essex Museum. A museum. Nationwide international reputation. I have 3 students who will be going there to the Peabody Essex Museum next week because China is their native country. Here, this company has established itself in Salem over the years, and they want to reinvest in Salem. Thank you very much, and I support you entirely. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to comment? This one, Councilor Ryan, then Councilor Milo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to thank you for your comments because being on the council, this is my 7th year, I'm a gap in there, but that was one of the hardest decisions to make when the zoning was going through because you have to listen to the neighbors. And like your company's been there for a long time. These people, the neighbors love Salem, you love Salem, obviously you wouldn't go through all these hoops. And at the time when the zoning, that was going on, I figured that was the only leverage we have. And that's why I voted against the zoning change. But then when you came back and you pretty much took everything off the table, which was far, I didn't think any company would ever do that. The issue with the cleaning up or doing the lot, you decided not to build there. You decided to go on the other side. The Bedford Way, that was off the issue. You don't even need the Alpha lot anymore. I mean, like 4 things that were just taken right off the table. Like when I make a decision, I mean, I try to put myself in the neighbor if I lived in that area, as well as the business too, because I mean, you're a neighbor too. I mean, you're there during the day. And I think of like what Councilor O'Keefe would, what were these people doing? I mean, he was probably on the council when they changed it to R2, so I just think like, what is the right decision? And I mean, we want to keep you in Salem, and I think I can support them. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but the leverage, if you push too much, it's going to break, obviously, by the way you're talking. I mean, we don't want to see you leave. But I want everything to work together, and I want to just say thank you for all you've done so far, because you did far more than I thought we were going to get. I thought there was going to be some give and take, but it seems like you took a lot more off the table, and there is the big issue of zoning, the thing that concerns, like with the Lowe's project, when it changed the zoning up there, it affected other areas. That's why residents get concerned if you ever leave, what's going to happen, and that's where the concern is. Hopefully you won't go anywhere, you'll be there and it won't be an issue. But as far as like in good faith and all the stuff that you've done so far, I'm willing to support this resolution at this time.
Councilor Milo?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. I also want to thank Webb for all the changes that you made to your plan. It does look like it's very much improved. I have to say, in terms of the review, And in terms of the zoning, I still have concerns about the lack of design review. I was recently at a planning board meeting where they discussed the expanded role of the design review board, especially in entrance corridor areas. So I know that you've agreed to kind of an informal sit-down, but I would ask that maybe, not to try to push you, but that maybe that you consider something a little bit more formal and maybe more than 2 members of the design review board. The other thing is, I just want to clarify, this is a non-binding resolution, correct? So this doesn't guarantee that at the end of the zoning hearings that this will be rezoned, no matter whether or not we support it or we think we support it, right? So I wouldn't want to give anybody the impression, even though I would support it, that at the end of the process, it's going to turn out the way it looks on here. And I don't know if that's the expectation.
So let me see if I can speak to that. I definitely think that is the expectation, Counselor, that we've been at this juncture for a good number of months. Of course, the process requires a joint public hearing, but the hope is that people will support this resolution and support the zoning. Webb's will have to invest additional time and money in putting this proposal together to support the rezoning, and that's why we're here, to make sure there's support on the council. I think, I don't want to speak for Mr. Muccaroni, but I think everyone's at a point where they need to know it's fish or cut bait. Do we want this project to move forward? And if so, do we support the zoning? And the expectation is you're not going to support it tonight, and 3 months from now, whenever the final vote is on the zoning because of the process, not be unsupportive of it. The planning board already gave one recommendation to support B4 on the Universal Steel lot. Of course, we're looking forward to getting their recommendation and a joint public hearing. There's a process to that, but this is not a situation where we have not heard from anybody about this project, and certainly there'll be a process to follow. But I think I want to be clear, we're all hoping that your words here this evening support the resolution that will ultimately be implemented later this fall, whenever those public hearings are. I think people are tired of coming here to find out, what's happening next. The plan is to support this alternative proposal, build an addition on the side, rezone both lots. They have to go to the planning board and the Conservation Commission, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to weigh in on size, scale, color. They have agreed to informally go to the DRB, so I think they'll have DRB input as well. That's the one thing you don't have in the NRCC. It's not built into B4. They voluntarily agreed to do that because they knew that was important. They heard that as well. So I'm not sure there's much more they can do. And I think they're hoping this is a bit of a fait accompli and that we're following the process, but it's not going to change between now and September. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
I thought it was, we were asking for rezoning and it was final. It's going to be rezoned. If it's not, then what good is it? It's like Thursday afternoon rules. It's rezoned today and a week from now it's not. It's no good.
The hope is that, and I'm sorry if we weren't clear before, at the June 30th meeting, we left here with drafting a resolution so we could give Webb's direction. They've responded to an RFP over a year ago now, and I think they need to know, as our community, as our city council, supportive of them growing in the manner that they've laid out, with the understanding that there's a lot of details that the planning board will go through under site plan review, the Conservation Commission will go through under site plan review. There's steps in the process, as there are for any project. As there would be if they weren't requesting zoning and going and getting whatever level of variances and special permits, that would also be a process. So they're looking for the green light to from this body to say, we want you here, we want you to stay, and we want you to grow, and we think this is a reasonable way to do it.
Councilor Fumiko had her hand up first, then.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first off, I'd like to just thank the feedback we got in the initial set of meetings from this. The mayor and I spoke recently, even the examples that we were shown of the public way signs in Marblehead for Beckford Public Way, as well as the lot next door. I know some folks have that car lot right in their backyard. Actually, looking in Google Earth, you can really see who sees what there and the lot lines. I am pleased that this resolution has a lot of the changes that were requested. We talked about deed restrictions to not disturb that land, especially with the young kids that are playing right next to it. At the same time, as it was mentioned previously, this is non-binding. But I do want to move forward. I am going to support the resolution tonight, just to get us moving forward. We'll have this joint public meeting. Everyone that's sitting in the audience tonight that I know just elected to have 3 people speak tonight, we'll have a chance to speak then again. We'll get some of the planning board expertise in the process, but I am welcome to doing so for that. And thankful for everyone's time, especially on the sweltering nights with 2 air conditioners in the room, for coming out and to continue that process with us as well.
All right, Councilor Lovely?
Yeah. Through you, Mr. President, I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't want this project to go forward. The concern, obviously, people have said it's before and what's going to happen thereafter. And I know Webb has given the commitment to stay here, and I think that's the elephant in the room that people want to see. Obviously, they're going to go before the boards that you mentioned, but it just seems to me, I'm not a zoning expert, I do work in zoning, that there's another way to do this, whether we also, while we're doing this, take a look at amending the B4 so that we can put some restrictions on it through the zoning process. However it's done, I think everybody here wants it to be done, and perhaps we can amend this and we have the public hearing that if we need to tweak the B4 zoning a little bit. I think that it could be done through B2 with some changes, but just so that we have the assurance, it's the last linchpin to get this thing done so that there's some assurance that somebody is going to come in after the fact. So I think that at the time we have the public hearing, we could also amend this to take a look at any zoning changes that may have to take place in the B4 that don't affect others. It's not off the top of my head per se, but I know Councilor Carenti spends a lot of time with zoning. He's unable to give a decision. I respect that. I wouldn't expect him to. But I think if we at least go the extra mile and give the notification to Webb that we are sincere, however we're going to get this done, that we get it done, but that we also give that last lock on the door so that some other business does come in before. I would suggest that we do that. The resolution, the mayor and I have spoken about this. I want to be supportive, as I've said in the past. I just have a little bit of a problem committing to, we haven't had a public hearing and voting for a zoning change. So, in theory, I mean, I'm going to reserve my right. I don't want to vote against it, but I would like to, as I say, take a look at the B4 zoning, see if we can put one more lock on the zoning with this going forward. It may be asking for too much, but that's the real reason that people are having trouble with this, because B4 opens a lot of doors that the neighborhood doesn't want to see. Not through Webb, but through a successor who's going to own the property. Thank you.
Councilor Toyell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will concur somewhat with, I am going to be supportive of this resolution. I think this project is now at a point that satisfies virtually all of the needs and demands that came out in the process. I think it avoids the risk of piercing the cap that was a huge concern for so many people. It concentrates development away from the vast majority of the neighborhood. I think that's a good thing. I also applaud Webb for sticking with it this long and being willing to go through in this an informal DRB process. I will concur somewhat with my Ward 3 colleague in this matter and say that perhaps we do, as part of this whole thing, need to take a look at what B4 regulations allow. I don't think that's a question that we have to answer in order to allow this project to go forward, because Webb has been here for about 70 years. I expect they're going to be here for a long time to come with this investment that's being made. At some point, perhaps off in the distant future, there may be a successor company on that site or a successor developer, and they may want different needs. And I do think that it is a good idea for this council to look at a lot of the zoning that we have in this city ultimately. We should be looking at some of the things that the NRCC intends, because growth has hardly happened in the NRCC because of some of the restrictions that come along with that. So we should be looking at what their zones entail. We just brought in a new planning director as of about half an hour ago, and I think he'll be a valuable part of that process too. But I'm prepared to sign on to this and go forward. I will support the rezoning, the resolution tonight. I do expect to support the rezoning after the public hearing process is complete, when we reschedule that. But I also do agree with my colleague that we should be looking at what uses ultimately are permissible in a B4 and in a B2 and in many of these zones, because some of these are fairly outdated, some of these needs have changed, and some of the prospective uses in the city have changed. And this gets into master planning and corridor plans and all sorts of stuff that we're just trying to work on catching up on now in this city, with all the development, with all the construction, and with all the things that are happening, virtually all of which are things that I like. So I'm supporting this today and going forward, and I do think it's worth taking a look at some of these things as we move on, and the sooner the better, but I don't think we have to worry about Webb moving in, doing their construction, then being replaced by somebody who wants to build something gigantic on that site as a B4, you know, a year or two from now. So I think it's a longer term concern, but it's one that we absolutely should be worrying about in our position here. Thank you. Further discussion. Councilor Dibble was first, and then Councilor Sargent, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you. Couple concerns. I spoke at the last meeting very much in favor of the redesign at Webb. Whereas the TIF is now gone, they're not going to be digging up the parking lot at Universal Steel. The Beckford Way is back. I think it's a good thing, and I applaud your efforts once again tonight. A couple questions, a point of clarifications, if I may. I had a lot of reservations when I first saw the resolution. It's kind of like we're voting for something before we have the public hearing. And I called to the mayor right away, and I met with her back on Monday or Tuesday this week. And I posed those questions and a whole bunch of other ones, not just on Webb, but other issues as well around the city. And she addressed most of my concerns, but I got a couple of fast points. On the sale of the city-owned land, I'd like to see both parcels, the Universal Steel and then that little section of Universal Steel on the backside called Lot B, both of those sold through the sale of city-owned land, the local Salem ordinance. And I'm wondering if the parcel B can be sold immediately so that if it does not sell, it can be kept as part of the whole Universal Steel property.
So as I mentioned to you, I think at least at that meeting that we're planning on auctioning these off via the tax title statute, and that we would entail probably doing one auction and trying to get those done at the same time. The actual deed transfers for these parcels, I suspect, would not happen until any of the permits are obtained. I don't think Webb's is going, as was laid out during the RFP, they'd be subject to permits. In order to try and save money, we'd probably try and auction them off at the same time. We haven't really talked through some of that. We'd have to figure that out. But we know there's an interested abutter. We've had lots of discussions with that individual, and we typically do try and work with abutters when they want to try and purchase a piece of property.
I'm absolutely okay with selling it to the abutter, but the last time we put it out for bid, Webb wound up being the bidder, and the abutter who was interested did not bid on it, I guess. I'm not sure what happened along the way.
Yeah, I think he did bid on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Lastly, we also talked about the repayment back to the state, that if we wind up transferring this property some point after October 2017, that we'll net an additional $142,000 approximately. Wondering if we should look at selling this property, but then setting the transfer date out to October so that the city of Salem retains those funds.
Yeah, and I think I indicated that it depends on what we sell the property for. The first $266,000 are due and payable to the city as our lien. Anything over and above that would be us repaying the loan we got from Mass Development. That extinguishes in October. So we certainly could have a conversation about when we actually transfer land. They have permitting to go through. We certainly hope it would be done by October, but there may be a way to figure out how to delay the transfer pending that issue, if in fact we're able to obtain more than the outstanding tax title lien that exists. Yeah, we could figure something out.
With regard to the resolution, again, I was very uncomfortable with it, voting in advance before we hear the public hearing. It's not binding. I'm a lot more comfortable with it, but the last item on number 4, where we talk about the Alpha lot and working with Webb, I don't want to imply anything that if I do vote on this resolution that I'm in favor of Webb, I need to look at, in favor of Alpha.
Right.
I misspoke. In favor of Alpha, but just the word in working and coming up with ideas, I'm okay with that. But I might not be okay with the purchase, the city of Salem purchasing that potentially contaminated property. We don't need another one. Not sure. The last issue, I guess would go to, if Mr. Correnti can address this, is for the entire audience and the council that we're here tonight, if we just have a clarification that if both the Webb building and the Universal lot were NRCC, what city boards would be required for permits? And if both were B4, what city bodies would be required?
Well, if they're both B4, then planning board and probably zoning board, depending on the extension of the building on the Webb parcel. But those lots would merge into one B4 lot. It would be the same zoning, and it would be treated as one site on one zone, which is certainly preferential for the owner and a simpler way to permit. It's possible that Conservation Commission may also need to look at it. That's to be determined as to whether there's any jurisdiction from the North River Canal or not. Now, if they were NRCC,
correct.
I'm not sure that any new zone, what you'd have to determine is this use allowed in the NRCC? And we know that the answer is no. But we have a grandfathered use, a legal non-conforming use currently in the NRCC zone for that lot. So by rezoning the lot next to it NRCC, that poses a different series of legal questions. And then you would talk about, could one extend a legal nonconformity into a second lot? Would the grandfathered use be allowed in a newly zoned lot? So, you know, we're not prepared to give that entire legal analysis like that. But my initial reaction is, if this use is not allowed in the NRCC, that a newly created NRCC lot could be problematic in trying to extend that use into it.
Yes. I'm wondering if we can get that clarification before the public hearing with the planning board, so we have a true understanding of, if it stayed NRCC, what would be required? If it went to B4, what would be required? Without doing the design work on and on. As we stand right now, and I'm surprised I'm actually saying this, but I'm in favor of sending a message back to Webb that I will be voting yes on the resolution, to send a message that we want Webb to stay, but we want to work out the zoning and get this thing done the right way, as so many people have said tonight. I think we're almost there. Without throwing in the alpha, without the resolution, without the Lot B, I thought that we were there at our last meeting. We got a couple little curveballs, but we can straighten them right out. I think we've already done that tonight. So if we can get that opinion of NRCC board requirements, B4 board requirements, I think we can go forward.
Well, we'll work with
Yeah,
your
the
city solicitor.
can provide that information. Yep.
Thank you.
Councilor Sargent?
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I don't know where to begin. I'm definitely not in favor of a resolution before we begin the public process. Of course, we value Webb, but we also value our neighborhoods in the city. We don't want the neighbors to move to another city either because of something that goes on around them. A deed restriction. It's a great thought, but it can be undone by an agreement of the parties that entered into it. I just saw a senior home in New York City. Deed restriction get undone and got sold for $50 million and then sold for $100 million to developers that are making high-end condominiums. Whole senior complex is gone in New York City. That deed restriction reversed all of that. All these neighbors want is to work together and just have a symbiotic relationship where they get to live and Webb gets to live, and it's a 50-50 deal. That's all they're looking for. To say that we're almost there with the last plan, this plan was made by Webb. We started a stakeholders group, Mayor. We never had a meeting. That stakeholders group didn't have any input into this plan at all. So we can't almost be there with just one side making the plan. You know, very few of our big projects going on in Salem required a resolution. The power plant didn't, the hospital didn't, the college building doesn't require a resolution. We don't really need this. It's non-binding, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, why are we doing it? Let's just let the public process play out, okay? Much has been said about why is it R2, it shouldn't be R2, it's never been used as R2. We have to accept that it's R2. It was put that way years ago, the neighbors bought and invested that way, that's the way it is. Conversely, up in Vinton Square, they're tearing down a one-family house and they're gonna build a business. Now, I could argue that's never been used as a business, never in 100 years, it's always been a one-family home. But you know what? I'd be wrong, and I'd be a hypocrite, because it's zoned, it's sitting on B2 land. I have to accept, and my neighbors have to accept, that they can tear that house down, and they can put a business there. Conversely, Webb has to accept that this is R2 zoned, and they need to deal with the neighbors to get it changed and to get something built there. That's the way our city is supposed to be. We're supposed to be fair, it's supposed to work both ways, okay? Zoning gives these people property value, and they're not always willing to give up that property value, just as Webb has their property value. Now, I have a proposal that I put forward in an email, and it's not my proposal. It's a perfect reason to have an open meeting. Everything I put in that proposal is based on months and months of time that wasn't wasted of hearing the neighbors speak and hearing Webb speak. Now, and as an example of other things that go on in the city, I proposed a lease swap rather than a land swap. And the idea that gave me that final clog in that was Salem Hospital. There's 5 acres of land we lease or give an easement to Salem Hospital to use up on the golf course side of the property. And I believe it's zoned R1. There's no zoning change. It's an easement, they use it, and in return I wanted to get an easement also behind Bertram Field for us to use the parking there. So with a lease swap, what do we gain there? The neighbors have protection, they don't have to do a zoning change, we have the leverage as a city. We lease about 1/3 of the Universal Steel parking lot to Webb with an easement through the rest of it for their trucks to come through and load. And in turn, we also lease from them the Alpha lot, about an equivalent amount of land as they're going to lease from us. And what's the benefit of that? The zoning stays the same, and we have a $3.5 million cleanup on the site we're leasing, and we still own it, we still have the deed, there's no need for a deed restriction. We're leasing Alpha for an equal amount of time, whatever that may be, and we don't own it. We have the benefit of not owning it, in case it's polluted. If we buy it and it turns out to be polluted, the citizens of the city will be on the hook for a cleanup. So let us keep ownership of the land that's already cleaned, accepted, hazardous waste, capped site. That can't bother us. Why would we give that site up that's already accepted by the EPA and all the environmental people as clean, and it can't bother us, it can't go back to bite us, in return for a lot that we just don't know if it's dirty or not, but it's right beside one that was very dirty. So why would we give up that leverage and put our citizens on the hook for possible another cleanup? We can accomplish everything we need to accomplish just by a lease swap. Everybody's happy, everybody gets what they want, Webb gets to build, and the neighborhood gets protection. That's doable. That's the kind of compromise that you come to when you bring people together and listen to their ideas. Not when you bring a plan forward and just try to push it down their throat. So let's consider something creative like that. We can do this. As with other issues, we're better than this just jamming this into the neighborhood. Webb won't have to move, and no neighbors will put up for sale signs. Let's get this done. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Briefly, please.
Through you, if we just get clarification on, I'm reading number 1 of the resolution, and it talks about selling the properties through, by way of tax title public auction process.
Yep.
And how does that differ from selling it through the disposition of city-owned land, City of Salem public ordinance?
Statute allows tax title properties to be sold via public auction. I don't know if there's a difference in the notice requirements or anything like that.
Is there a difference in the number of city councilors that will need to vote on the measure?
Via tax title, there's no council vote. It just is a vote. It's a tax title public auction via the chief elected official. does not come back to this body for disposition.
Does the local ordinance?
Yes.
Yes,
How many votes would that require?
8.
8. And I just want to be clear, are there, is your opinion or the solicitor's opinion that there's no other requirements that differ from the state ordinance to the city ordinance?
Exactly.
Comparatively, right.
The only thing that's different there is the small lot fee. There is a provision in the statute that says that if it's any ordinance to the contrary, we have a sealed bid provision for lots that are undevelopable. But with respect to the parcel that was the purchase.
The reason why I'm doing this because I want to make sure that it's done right, that we follow whatever the laws are locally in the state to get this done legally and correctly so that there's no wiggle room later. We're doing things the right way.
This is a tax title purchase, Counselor, so we are permitted under the law to sell it via tax title. It would not be the first time we've sold parcels under the tax title process. So that's what we're requesting.
I'll speak back to the 14 years that I was employed by the City of Salem, where I was charged with the selling of city-owned lands through the ordinance from 1986 to 2000, and we sold many tax title properties through that ordinance. And I just assumed that all properties would be sold through the local ordinance, not knowing that we have an option to go through the state law.
Many times in many communities, it's designed for tax title purposes to put them back on the tax rolls.
Sure. Before we get to the public hearing, I'm wondering if the city solicitor can just send out a memo to clarify exactly what we can and should be doing with regard to the local versus the state. I just want to make sure all our Ts are crossed.
Sure. I have no objection to her sending you a memo, Counselor, on this.
Right. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
No further questions.
Councilor
Just
Lovely.
briefly speaking, so it's not necessary to have this resolution passed for you to put tax titles. Is that right? You don't need.
I don't need it, but I did commit to this body, right, that I would come back here before disposing of this parcel. We thought we were going through an RFP process. In order to accept this alternative plan and move forward with it, we cannot use that original RFP because of the difference in the value and whatnot.
Yeah. But there's no need for, there's no council input as far as tax title, you can go forward with that.
That's correct. I mean, I would say there's none under the law, but that's why we're here.
I appreciate that,
Right.
and we've spoken about that. Have you decided on a minimum bid yet?
We haven't yet. I mean, we do have 2 appraisals, and part of the discussion will be to better understand what our interest is in Alpha Auto and hear from people about that.
I will do whatever I can to help move this along. I can't vote for the resolution. That doesn't mean I'm not supportive of the project and all the progress we've made. I just feel that it flies in the face of voting, committing to something. I understand it's non-binding, but if I put my name and vote to something and then I just feel that we have to have the public hearing and vote. My sense is that I'm going to attempt to, if we have a brief recess after this, to try to at least take a look at the B4 zoning, maybe simultaneously with that to try to come up with some sort of further protection for this, or at the next regular meeting bring in order to have a public hearing based on that, for the sole purpose only to try to get a little bit more protection for that lot. But I just want Webb to understand that my not voting for this resolution is for that reason only, not because I'm opposed to the project.
Any further discussion? Councilor Sargent.
Yeah, might I suggest that we have a resolution just to have a stakeholders meeting and hammer this out? The neighbors want to see this get done the right way also. This can be done. And with all due respect, we remind them that they were promised this was going to be sold by the RFP process, that we weren't going to tax title it. So this resolution is asking us to go back on that word. So let's keep our word and do things the way we were doing it. It might be a little bit slower, but so much has happened along the way. But we're not that far from getting this done. Let's just get the stakeholders group together with Webb and get this done, please.
Councilor Famico?
Mr. President, could we move the question?
Councilor Famico asked to move the question.
Move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor Famico's motion for adoption by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
You have to say.
Clarification.
Yeah?
Exactly what
Yes
are we
is to
voting
take
for?
the resolution.
It's
Yes
a
is to
resolution.
accept the resolution. No is to not accept the resolution.
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of a resolution regarding the disposition of the former Universal Steel parcel and the rezoning of 293 and 297 Bridge Street, 11 councilors voting, 9 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor McCarthy.
Move for a 2-minute recess.
Councilor McCarthy moves for a 2-minute recess. No objection, so moved. Motion to resume?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Famico.
Mr. President, I apologize to these tour people. I didn't even notice them in the fray until other people got up. But could I take out of order page 22, the last item in regards to Paranormal Salem?
We're on page 22? That's great.
Councilor Famico moves we switch to petitions on page 22. Seeing no objections. Petitions.
We have requests from Paranormal Salem to extend their hours of operation to 11:30 p.m.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be granted conditionally for 90 days. The reason I say 90 days is we're currently, as the city chief of staff and the city solicitor, Beth Renard, they're reviewing tour operators as a whole. So I'd like them to have an opportunity to review that as well. And then also just a point of clarification from you guys as well prior to this. The letter says 11:30 p.m., but upon looking at your website, it says that the tours end at midnight. I just want some clarification which it is.
Right, they do, but they end indoors.
Okay.
We're off the street by that time, we're inside, and it ends in.
So I just move that we do it conditionally just for 90 days, and then if all works out with the city solicitor and the mayor's chief of staff, just have you, we could just give you a letter prior to that, just letting you know what's going on, or perhaps have you guys come back in, but just to give them an opportunity to kind of see where we're going with guides and hours and tour group numbers, and it's something that's in limbo right now.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just would suggest a friendly amendment to allow these hours to go through Halloween rather than 90 days.
How about through, when do we give you to, I don't know. Pardon?
November 1st.
I don't even want to say November 1st, because sometimes you have a lot of tours the day after Halloween too, I'm guessing.
But we wouldn't need the later hours at that time. We really desperately need it through October, through
Could we say till November 1st, at which point we'll have you guys come back in? And,
perfect.
as I said, we're having these discussions now from everything from vehicular traffic and people walking on sidewalks and everything in between, just so we can clear it up in our ends as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I was perusing your Facebook and looking at your YouTube videos too. You guys see some interesting stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
If I could just say, we do keep our groups 216. We don't have the big, large groups like a regular tour company, and we are not in residential areas.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your patience, though.
Thank you.
Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very unique and the only tour company like this. A lot of these other companies go on with 50 or more people with bullhorns, and you can hear them from a quarter mile away. This group, you don't even know they're there. They stay away from residential property. They have much smaller groups, and they've been doing this for 3 years with no question whatsoever, pretty much under the radar. So I support them all the way through Halloween, if we could, please. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Councilor Famico's motion that this be granted provision through November 1st of this year? All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we take out of order our committee reports relative to the lease at the new City Hall annex at 90 Washington Street.
All right.
I don't know. It's not page 22.
Committee reports. Councilor Fury, can you?
Yes, please. Councilor Currielli.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the 20-year lease for the City Hall Annex located at 90 Washington Street, has considered said matter and would recommend approval.
Under comments, discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we had the meeting on this last night. A substantial amount of questions were asked, primarily about the design, some of the accommodations. Councilor Famico has offered to introduce, can you pass me the papers just off the right there? She has worked with the city solicitor to provide a motion to amend the order relative 20-year lease to this City Hall Annex, and I move that this amendment be adopted, that the date of commencement of July 1st, 2017 be changed to September 1st, 2017, and that the following be added to the order. Be it further ordered that the space at 90 Washington Street will include indoor bicycle storage for a minimum of 12 bicycles and the opportunity for future storage expansion, gender-neutral human restrooms on all floors, at least one shower for employee use, and a welcoming greeting area on the ground floor. And the mayor shall establish a City Hall Annex working group comprised of 2 city councilors designated by the council president and residents from the City Hall, representatives from the City Hall Annex departments to work with the 90 Washington LLC's architects to provide input into the design and layout of the City Hall Annex space. Councilor, actually, you have to, right?
Sure. Councilor Famico, thank you.
And just for the record, the mayor was fully supportive of this, as were the folks over at 90 Washington. They actually included it directly in the lease. So I'm very thankful for that we are actually practicing what we're preaching in this chamber. So thank you all for that. Could you second it, though? And I second it, and I have the original copy for sure.
Thank you.
restaurants?
Councilor Curio?
Actually, I'll...
On,
sorry. You have to get the...
On the acceptance of the committee's report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Unanimous? Councilor Curio?
On adoption of the recommendation.
On the adoption of the recommendation. May I step down on this?
Yeah, we'll switch.
Thank you.
On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, we also have to vote on the amendment as well. So, on Councilor Famico's, or on the amendment to the lease, as moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Famico, under discussion. Councilor Fury?
Yes, please. I have the highest respect and recognition and regard from Mr. Mesh and his company. They're an outstanding company. They bring creativity and innovation, and we're very fortunate to have them. But I believe at this time, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a right decision in this situation, and I think we're making the wrong decision. 20-year lease is out of bounds, should not be. I think if we really force these two developers, saying 10, they may do it. Where are they going to go? They're going to have other commercial developers come in and redo that place. It's going to cost a lot. Mr. Allen, who owned that property before, the Red Line Smoke Shop, nothing was done over the years. It's a derelict building that needs major repair. I don't think the City of Salem should be held hostage to renovate that building. When we have a building at 10 Federal Street, we could do it right now. Without committees, all these things and delays, we could do it now. 10 Federal Street, right now. Red brick building. We argued about yellow brick. Sincerely, the building next to the old Fool Inn, the next building to what we're talking about, used to be Weber's department store. For some of us who remember that was a store 4 stories high. Somewhere along the line, I got the comment saying, "Oh, you have to have yellow," last night. Hello? Look at the door, the place next door. It's not yellow. It never was yellow. That was changed to apartments and condominiums. Really nice for downtown. It's 6 stories high. It can be done. Sincerely. So I think, for the best interest of Salem, I would vote no. I don't think it's right. We had a chance for 10 Federal Street. I still believe we have a chance for 10 Federal Street. I look at it more and more. I took a tour of 10 Federal Street 15, 16 years ago, and we could have done a number of things with it. Now that I work there as a part-time employee of the PBS Museum, I see its potential. You could do it right now. All the things that we want to do, one-stop shopping, only a few feet away from this City Hall, a few feet away from the addition. I don't think we should be held hostage by these two. I appreciate Masonic, and I appreciate the owners of the Weber's building for their opportunity to build, but not at the city's expense, not at a 20-year lease. We were here 16 years ago, and we made a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake again. I'm against it.
Councilor Lovely?
Move adoption as amended.
Councilor Lovely moves for adoption of, well, first we'll adopt the amendment. On adoption of Councilor Miko's amendment, and no further discussion on the amendment, or Councilor Dibble?
Yes, on the amendment. Thank you, Mr. President. If I could have the good Ward 2 council just clarify, the restrooms, will we have a men's, a women's, and then is this a third gender-neutral human restroom on each floor? Or what exactly is that?
Councilor
Because it means
D'Amico.
different things to different people.
That would be up to the developers for that, but it could just be having separate single-stall bathroom facilities, or it could mean having a men's, a woman's, and then just a neutral, anybody can use it. But it's up to the designers to figure out how they want to implement that in there. So it could be a third completely separate, like if you go into some public libraries or libraries just for anyone, it could be considered what you consider a family restroom, or just an everybody restroom, or it could be just having single stalls, say 3 of them. It depends on plumbing code and depends how they tie it into the design.
So on, Councilor Dibble.
Yes, Mr. President. Well, I do know that 2 of my son's dormitories, they're human bathrooms, same wording, but they're co-ed bathrooms. The stalls all mixed up. I'd rather see it separated, or the single-use bathrooms, as you mentioned as well.
I think that'll be worked out in the process.
Yep.
Specifics. So on the, on adoption of the amendment to the lease, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. On the lease now as amended, under discussion?
Seconded.
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion, Councilor Epley.
I just have actually a procedural question. Should this be by roll call vote?
Yes, I was going to say, on the procedure, this would be to adopt the lease by roll call vote. So, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
No.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the question of the City of Salem entering into a 20-year lease for the 90 Washington Street, 11 councilors present, 11 voting, 9 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor
For
Famico.
immediate reconsideration, hopes that it does not prevail.
Councilor Famico moves for immediate reconsideration in the hopes it does not prevail. All those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed. The matter does not carry. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we return to the regular portion of the meeting on page 7.
Amen. You sure?
I look forward to once this year where we do the entire meeting in the actual order. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order for an appropriation of $900,000 from fund balance free cash account to stabilization fund, $200,000 to stabilization fund, and capital improvement fund, $200,000.
Councilor Epley.
Retirement fund, $500,000.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are end-of-year transfers from our free cash account to the various stabilization funds. This is a testament to how the city of Salem runs its finances, and that we are making sure that we have stabilization funds for not only our overall expenses on a general basis, but more importantly on the retirement stabilization. This is an ongoing. There was a question that was brought earlier in public comments about transfers. This is about making sure that we pay for our sins of the past, and this is because of the good governance of this city council and this administration. We're able to fund these on an ongoing basis. So that's the reason why we're bringing this forward. If anyone wants to put this in committee, again, for any of these others, I would be happy to do that. But these are basically end of fiscal year transactions.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $600,000 from the stabilization fund to school department collective bargaining reserve account for the settlement of the Salem Teachers Union contract for fiscal year 2017.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Seconded.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. The school department has come to an agreement with our teachers union, and we have a 2.5% across the board raise, which is in accord with all of our other union contracts. So this is in line with that as well. And I won't go into detail about this, but there was a lot of actually very positive things that came out of that transaction in that negotiation. And so I would ask my colleagues to adopt it.
Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, I wish to applaud and commend and congratulate the mayor and the school committee and the human services and all those people that were involved. Tomorrow night, for many of us, we'll be going to a function called No Backing Down by Sean Stellato at the Seaport Hotel. And he suffered the consequences, along with, I think, Councilor Ryan's brother and the football team, of a strike. And that was the inability of the mayor, school committee, and the administration to sit down and talk over and do things. The lives of those people that were affected, and no backing down. Sean Stellato, the function tomorrow night at the Seaport Hotel, which I'm glad to attend. I walked before the strike, during the strike, and after the strike for the nonsense of what a strike was all about. Here we are today. A new union president, new atmosphere, a new climate of cooperation. I commend and congratulate the mayor, the school committee, and all those involved to make this possible. Thank you very much.
Further discussion, seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $281,731.52 to be expended from the retirement stabilization vacation sick leave buyback account to be expended for the school department retirements.
Councilor Epley.
Move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is I'll waive the reading here of all of the retirees, but I thank them all for their service to the school department, for their years of service, and for the children of Salem.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $114,197.97 to be expended from the retirement stabilization vacation sick leave buyback account to be expended for the police department retirements.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, we thank these three officers for their lifelong commitment to our Salem Police Department and to the citizens of Salem. And we wish them well in their retirement.
On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $82,675.17 to be expended from the retirement stabilization vacation sick leave buyback account to be expended for the fire department retirements.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, we thank both of these firefighters for their commitment to Salem, and we wish them well in retirement.
Councilor Famico.
I'd just like to add a little something that John Thomas, one of the two that's receiving some of his retirement money, his son was actually promoted to captain at our meeting, was it last meeting or 2 meetings ago? And then John, this firefighter's father, was also a firefighter in Salem, so we have 3 generations in there. But I'm just thankful for his service and thankful that the family tradition continues. I'll add in that John is my first cousin's husband. And yeah, there's a lot of Famicos and Famico connections in the city. But just the fact that this is a family connection going strong and it continues to be in the city.
On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $69,980.97 from the capital outlay renovation and repairs account to be expended for the repairs to the North Street Fire Station.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
I also move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Mr. President, this is a line item for repair of concrete flooring at Station 2 on North Street, and I anticipate the Ward 6 councilors in favor of this.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my colleague. I am absolutely in favor of this. This is a necessary station for North Salem and to back up other fire engines when there are multiple alarms. So this is very important to us in North Salem and throughout the city. So I ask for everyone's support in this.
Any further discussion? I also know Councilor O'Keefe would be weighing in on this right now, urging us to move forward quickly. So, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $64,590.52 to be expended from Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the retirement of Glenn Bodette of the Fire Department.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, we thank Mr. Bodette for his commitment to Salem and saving lives here within our city.
No further discussion on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $31,645 from Capital Outlay Renovation and Repairs account to be expended to renovate electrical posts in the RV field at Winter Island.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for renovation of electrical posts in the RV field at Winter Island. There are, I think, 12, excuse me, yes, is installation of 12 separate pedestal posts at each site. I've just asked for support from my colleagues in adopting this.
No further discussion on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have a transfer of $25,000 from Harbor Master Receipts Reserve account to Harbor Master Equipment account.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is in line with a part of our footprint dollars that we receive as part of our community benefits agreement are being used here to fund our contribution to 25% of the port security grant. So this is essentially seed money to allow us to continue with grant money. So this is what this is allowed, and I would encourage my colleagues to adopt.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $5,136.70 to be expended from the Retirement Stabilization Vacation Sick Leave Buyback account for the retirement of Lynn Duncan, City Planner.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Epley moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objections, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We wish Ms. Duncan well in her retirement, and we actually just approved her successor this evening.
It seems like she was just here moments ago.
Absolutely.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption. All those in favor? Oh, wait. No. All right. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege.
Sir?
Is there any chance that maybe we could take up a collection, maybe $1 or $2 a piece, and buy these guys a pizza or something over here? Because, I mean, they've been here a very long time, and we've still got a long way to go. And, I mean, there's a TV in the ante room if they want to flip something. I mean, as much as this is important stuff to the city, I mean, these three young men from China, I really don't think that they're quite grasping totally what's going on. And to be honest with you,
test them tonight.
It's going to be a test later when you take home.
With the good at large, Councilor.
Or something. I don't know. I mean, they just look like they're. I mean, one of them's ready to nod off, and I don't blame him because it's like 100 degrees in here. So I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud because
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, Domino's.
Are there still cookies out back there?
There's still some cookies out back. There is a TV in the other room.
You would take a second.
They can watch this.
Watching us. They can watch something else. Seriously, one of them is not.
Further communication from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation in the amount of $2,255 from the Salem Moose Lodge 218 for Salem Police Department K-9 Fund.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Salem Moose Lodge, as well as the Mac Park Neighborhood Association, have done tremendous work over the several years that we've had our K-9 unit. We graciously and accept this contribution from here, the Salem Moose Lodge, for their donation to our K-9 unit and the amount of $2,255.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. These funds, if I'm not mistaken, this came from the golf tournament. And so actually this was on June 6th, which was also the 29th anniversary of my bat mitzvah. And it was also the very first time I had stepped foot on a golf course.
I heard stories about that.
We'll come again next year and you'll see me again. So this is really a great event, and I know that the Salem Police, the K-9 unit really appreciates this. And hopefully I'll see more of you out there next year.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have an order to authorize the mayor to create a revolving fund account for solar renewable energy certificate in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half. Councilor
Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just great all around because we're involving not only savings for our city specifically through the schools here, but our schools are particularly involved, and so it's going to be near and dear and over the heads of our kids at both Bentley Elementary School as well as Witchcraft Heights Elementary School, which is near to my heart, and. What we have specifically before us tonight, Mr. President, is the establishment of a revolving fund. This is necessary for us to essentially deposit credits into an account, into this account, which then can be used to pay the electric bill. So it is as my at-large colleague really likes to use, it's a win-win situation for.
No charge.
Is that a solar joke?
It's a win-win situation, and it provides a great example, I think, to our kids.
Councilor McCarthy.
It's a great idea. Great, I agree with all of it. The other thing is Jeff Cohen from used to be with the Renewable Energy Task Force. It also locks in the credits, which are going to expire in 2 months. So it's all of that, we want to use a win-win or whatever you want to use. It's a great thing, great to do right now, just because it locks in those credits that could possibly expire in the next couple months. Thank you, Jeff.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also would like to speak in favor of this and just applaud the mayor for thinking outside the box and being progressive and going after these grants and environmentally beneficial projects. If Jeff Cohen here in the room or Jeff Eli had, I guess that they had involvement as well, they get an applause as well. And I would encourage the mayor's office to do more of this as well. These panels are going on Witchcraft Heights and Bentley Elementary Schools buildings, and we have more buildings to go.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Mayor's informational page.
The mayor is submitting information relative to the Applied Coastal Research and Engineering Study of the FEMA flood insurance rate maps with revision of the flood map to FEMA to remove a number of private properties from the flood zone.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to move that this be received and placed on file.
Councilor McCarthy moves this be received and placed on file. Any under discussion?
I'm going to run home and look at the map to see if my house has been removed from the zone. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest, but it could be. But seriously, I mean, all seriously, FEMA did come through and they did some global studies from some Google Maps and put a whole bunch of people in flood zones that traditionally haven't been in flood zones. And I know there's a change in climate and all. I respect all that, but this potentially has the ability to relieve a lot of people from the that carry a mortgage on their house, basically their lenders are requiring them to get flood insurance. And so this could be a tremendous amount of savings to a whole bunch of people. So this is very important. So I'm serious, in all seriousness, I joked about it, but going to really look hard at these maps and make sure they're available to people.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion, this be received and filed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Yeah. City of Salem, year 2016, ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. I'd like to waive the reading of this regarding Francis Road, Mass. First passage.
Anybody have any issues with that? Seeing none? On Councilor Lovely's.
We've got a problem area down on Jefferson Avenue that I've alluded to in the past. This is to prevent any parking on a pretty dangerous curve. There's a lot of cut-through traffic that goes there. We'll hopefully dissuade. We've created parking on Jefferson Avenue. As we go further on in the meeting, we're going to be removing some prohibitions of traffic, of parking on Jefferson Avenue. So I ask that this be adopted for first passage.
On Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Got several here.
What is the Wilson Road?
I'm going to find this so that I can pass it forward. City of Salem and City Council, July 21st, 2016. Ordered that a trial period of up to 60 days on the following traffic recommendation, Chapter 42, Section 49, obedience to isolated stop sign, Wilson Road, northerly traffic bound on Wilson Road at stop at Cottage Street.
Councilor Lovely moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Just move adoption. No discussion.
On Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Oh, wait. Councilor Famico.
Is this Cottage Street going on to Wilson Street, or is this if you're actually on Wilson Street, the stop sign is on Wilson?
Through you, Mr. President, it's on Wilson Road. If you're coming from Wilson Street, that short area is Wilson Road. There's not supposed to be any cut-through traffic to Cottage Street. However, people use it as a shortcut, and we're hoping that by putting a stop sign, it creates some safety, as well as perhaps have people feel it's not worthwhile going through.
Just for clarification, is this where Dance with Dina used to be? Cynthia Bonfiglio's dance?
I don't believe so. This is Wilson Street, Wilson Road. That'd be Jefferson Avenue.
On Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Okay. City of Salem, in the year 2016, an ordinance relative to zoning, and this is what I'm proposing is an amendment to the entrance corridor overlay district. I'll ask the council to allow me to waive the reading.
Oh, please read it.
So moved.
Be happy to have you sit in. It's just we would like to add Jefferson Avenue. We will have to have a joint public hearing with the planning board, so I would ask that we, at some point, probably set it, there shouldn't be a lot of discussion on this, we set it at the same time that we have the public hearing for the B4 zoning for Universal.
You want to do a resolution?
So moved. On Councilor Lovely's motion to refer to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with City Council, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions, and I'll take care of it actually, Councilor McCarthy?
Did you have it? Council Ferry, take it with him?
I think so.
He's eating pizza.
But you just read it off the agenda.
Ordered that the meetings of the qualified voters of the City of Salem be held in several voting places in precincts in the city at the polling places designated hereafter on Thursday, September 8th, 2016, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the purpose of the casting of votes in the state election for the candidates of political parties for the following offices: Representative in Congress, 6th District, Councilor, 5th District, Senator in General Court, 2nd Essex District, Representative General Court, 7th Essex District, and Sheriff, Essex County. And be it hereby ordered that it's adopted by roll call vote.
I don't think we do roll call vote, just...
by move for adoption. Sorry, no roll call vote.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. the right one. City of Salem City Council, July 21, 2016, ordered that the monthly financial report dated June 30, 2016 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. Under discussion.
No discussion.
On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21, 2016, ordered that the year-to-date budget report dated April, May, and June 2016 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, under discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
City of Salem, in the year 2016, ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council, City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, repeal Prescott Street, it should be. It says Prescott Avenue, so I'd ask that this be amended to read Prescott Street.
Mr. Rizzo.
Councilor Lovely moves that this be amended. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
I would ask adoption by
for first
passage.
Councilor Lovely moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
City of Salem, in the year 2016, ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council, City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited on certain streets. Again, I would ask the council to allow me to waive the further reading.
Seeing no objections?
Just under discussion, we're repealing some no parking signs on Jefferson Avenue to allow those folks who are parking in the neighborhood to park now on Jefferson Avenue. I would ask for first passage.
On Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption first passage, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Yes, City of Salem, in the year 2016, ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council, City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 5, parking prohibitions, towing zone, resident sticker, Bertuccio Avenue. I ask to waive the reading of the rest of the motion.
Seeing no objections, Councilor Lovely.
I would like to refer this to Ordinance and Legal Affairs. I'm not a big fan in a lot of times, a lot of occasions to have residents sticking parking. We did this for a trial period where we've made a number of adjustments that I've alluded to earlier. So I'm hoping that this will go in the committee. If we have to bring this out reluctantly, I will do so, but I ask that it be put in the committee.
On Councilor Lovely's motion, this be referred to the Committee on Norris' Licensed Legal Affairs. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on Ordinance, Licensed Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and recommend approval. Secondhand valuable R.A.D. Jewelers, 63A Wharf Street.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
No discussion.
On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on Ordinance, Licensed Legal Affairs, co-posted committee holds, to whom referred the matter of discussing, reviewing, and revising a traffic ordinance relative to Chapter 42, Section 45, heavy vehicles prohibited certain streets, has considered said matter and recommend approval of the adopted amended language.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, our committee met twice on this matter, once in the past week and most recently earlier this evening. The committee charged Councilor Lovely and the city solicitor, after the discussion previously, to come up with amended language, of which I credit Councilor Lovely and the city solicitor for coming up with a language that was readily adopted earlier this evening. And since Councilor Lovely brought in this matter, it actually, at this time, this matter, in committee, we kind of broke it up into three sections, but as a whole, the whole matter was adopted, but it's three parts to it, and at this time, if there's no objection, I'll allow Councilor Lovely to address the three separate issues that were taken up under this one order that were all passed unanimously by committee.
Councilor Lovely?
You have the ordinance? She left them.
I have mine for the record.
These are the originals. A couple of these were to add Summer Street and Winthrop Street to the heavy vehicles prohibited. As I spoke at the both committee meetings, these were promises made when the city garage was built back in around 1978. And the streets had been marked in the past. That was the policy back then, and subsequent to that, that signs were just put up. And Hathorne Street was one of those streets as well. It is on the heavy commercial vehicles prohibited list, so I'm adding Summer Street and Winthrop Street to those, which were promised to the neighbors way back when, and have been on and off been posted, but currently are not on the list, and I'm asking to add those two to the list. The other is Wilson Street. We created a new section. It's a 45A, which will be heavy commercial vehicles over 26,000 pounds, which are those vehicles that require a CDL license, tractor trailers, oil trucks, et cetera. The main problem has been on Wilson Street as you head down from Highland Avenue down to Jefferson Avenue. Heavy vehicles, tractor trailers, often using whatever. I think they probably do it once and then don't do it again, because the difficulty in taking a left down toward Jackson Street and or taking a right to go up over the railroad tracks and the bridge is very, very difficult. And I spoke with the police department and Lieutenant Pazuski. He agreed. He's surprised it hasn't been done previously. So that's another one of the recommendations. And the last of which would be, we have currently on the books in section 55B, prohibited from parking, vehicles are not allowed to, heavy vehicles are not allowed to park in residential districts, and there's now a $25 fine. We've raised those fines at the suggestion of the traffic lieutenant, a three-tiered system, $100 fine for the first offense, $200 for the second offense, $300 for the third offense, because we currently in my ward have an individual who has a large tow truck who $25 is a pretty good deal for him. He can't find a spot to park it cheaper than that, so he's willing to pay the tickets. So this is to discourage heavy vehicles from parking in neighborhoods or in Senate entrance corridors. So I would ask, this is the third prong of our approach in this, and I ask for first passage of all those items.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to support the good Ward 3 councilor's ordinance change here, and just point out and just clarify that we're a working city. These are not small commercial vehicles that he's talking about. These are larger, maybe small dump trucks and bigger type of vehicles. So the small cars and small trucks, expeditions even, would fall underneath here and still could be parked at somebody's house.
Right. Any further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption for first passage? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on Ordinance, Legal Affairs, co-posted the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of discussing, reviewing, and revising the city ordinance relative to Chapter 14, Section 44, operative air pump required to store fuel, has considered certain matter, would recommend the adoption of the amended language.
On acceptance of committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you. Council Lovely brought this matter in as well. It was brought to his attention by some concerned residents that the ordinance on the books requires that any gas station, full service or self-service, that has a permit to store fuel in the ground is they also required to provide free air for its customers. And it was brought to his attention by some concerned residents that that wasn't occurring. So with his work with that, with working the city solicitor and with the committee, they came up with some new language. We also had the John Doyle from City Weights and Measures to come in relative to put some science to beef up the ordinance a little bit, put some, and then allow Mr. Doyle to put the proper signage up to let people know that they are entitled to free air because it's part of their permitting process. The city of Salem as well, relative. It's also, I believe, the city of Lynn. There's one other city in Massachusetts, when I'm talking to the city solicitor, and the state of California, one other state, do require this, but Salem happens to be one of those places does. And so with the work that came out of committee and with Councilor Lovely's recommendations, we have language that was agreed to by the committee that will help beef this up and allow this to be, give the John Doyle, the city weights and measures person, the ability to put up signs and enforce this.
Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the committee. And I do want to give a shout out to the city solicitor. Beth has worked very hard. We had the lease. She worked with me in a number of these things, along with Lieutenant Przuski on the traffic end, and she left no stone unturned, and I just want to give her the kudos because she's really awesome. We're lucky to have her, and we have a lot of officials who work very hard, but she turned all these things around very quickly and came up with language that was appropriate in many cases, and I just want to thank her publicly because I know how hard she works, especially on these items. And I would ask for first passage.
Then no further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption for first passage. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on Ordinance and the Legal Affairs co-posted Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of drafting a home rule petition allowing for the use of Spanish language ballots, and the City of Salem has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Briefly, Mr. President, this matter was brought into committee. There was a couple committee members that had some questions relative to the percentage, the amount of money that the city would incur with the cost of printing in Spanish as well. They had a couple unanswered questions that they would like answered before we move this out of committee. I'm committed to, as the chair of this committee, to bring this matter back up sometime in the early fall. So as was stated in committee, right now, currently the state legislature won't be reconvening and taking up any home rule petitions until early January. But it's my intent to hopefully get this out of committee and drafted in such a way that it's on someone's desk come early January, so this can be moved. I think it's a very important initiative, and but at this time the matter shall remain in committee until such time as the committee votes it out with a recommendation to the full floor.
Discussion. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. I'm not a member of the Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs Committee, but I wasn't able to attend that co-posted meeting. And it surprises me to some extent that that there is any delay on this, because I can't imagine that providing the analogy that I would use is, and I don't mean to mean this as a disability in any way, shape, or form, but someone who does not have English as their first language is somewhat akin to someone who has a visual impairment. You could range the gamut from someone like me who generally does need to use reading glasses on occasion, but I can go like this and I can see things, to full blindness. And there's a whole range therein, or perfect vision. In the same way, the ability to write, read, and understand the English language goes in that same sort of spectrum. And I would hope that with a sizable population that we have, whether it's 20% or whether it's 15, 16, 17%, that's extraordinarily sizable, and that any expense, and we're talking, maybe a few $1,000s at most, that is the most important, aside from public safety. The right to vote and the ability to access the vote is more important than any other thing that we do. And so I would encourage I appreciate the questions that are asked, but I certainly look forward to receipt from this out of committee from Ola at our first meeting back after our summer break.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I and the council president actually brought this order in, and it is my intent to move it. And I will just say that the interesting thing about this is, the order is relative to municipal elections. We're not talking about the presidential election that's going to potentially happen, that's going to happen this fall, or any federal or state election that's going to happen down the road. Those elections are governed by state and federal laws, of which you have to comply to their rules, which we currently don't. For whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly what the percentage, and that was one of the questions that came out of committee. What exactly is the percentage and how close are we? Because once we fall into those rules, then we don't even have to go for a home rule petition. We just kind of covered straight through every election. But right now, this matter is solely for municipal elections, so it'll only be in the odd years. And unfortunately, the federal and state government control the other elections with respect to the rules of how they are conducted, and currently, we don't meet that criteria. So that was a lot of the questions that came up. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. And hopefully, over the course of the next couple months, we can get some of those questions answered, or at least put us in the right frame of mind moving forward, that we understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and make sure it's done right.
Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would have liked to seen us move forward on this tonight. We keep talking about doing things for certain groups, but I think the fact that this isn't out yet doesn't send a positive message to a community that we are working towards a reasonable means. I know that it wouldn't be taken up at the State House anytime soon, and that the election isn't until next year, but it's still starting it forward. And if we got to that level on the state and federal level, and we automatically got them, that's great, but at least we're still doing something on the local level, because we all say everything is local, and that was our opportunity for that. When it comes to adopting the recommendation, I'll be opposing adopting that. I know it doesn't do anything as far as this, but it still sends a message.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on Public Health, Safety, and the Environment co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of a memorandum of understanding submitted by Salem State University students relative to clean energy, has considered said matter and would recommend remaining in committee.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had scheduled a brief moment to meet. There was, thankfully through Councilor Lovely, there was some editing done to the memorandum, and just to give people enough time to review it, I wanted to continue to keep this in committee, and but we're going to be meeting again over our summer break, and we will be hammering this out to bring this back in favorably come September.
Thank you. On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor Sargent.
Who is that?
No, can you come up?
Oh, I gotta tell you, oh, Fury's on it? Well, let me see what I can do.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Don't do that. Councilor Turriell.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, July 21st, 2016. The Committee on the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the revised plans for FW Web, has considered said matter and would recommend the matter remain in committee.
Under discussion.
On acceptance of the committee report.
Acceptance of the committee report. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just this is the follow-up from the meeting we had with FW Web at the end of June. We got to look at their new plans. We've moved ahead. We've just resolved a good deal of the situation tonight, but the plans themselves do remain in committee, so that if we need to convene and have further discussion on them as the plans develop, that we have the ability to do so. So, I move for adoption.
Thank you, Councilor Turriell. On Councilor Turriell's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Thank you, Councilor Turriell.
Thank you.
Resume the helm.
Petitions.
We have a petition from Verizon and Mass Electric to install one new jointly owned pole on the northerly side of Silver Street.
Hearing order September 22nd, 2016. Further petitions.
We have a petition from National Grid to install a conduit on Washington Street.
Hearing order September 22nd, 2016. Further petitions.
We have a request from the residents of 7074 Moffett Road to hold a block party on July 23rd, 2016, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that it be granted.
Counselor Dibble moves to be granted. Under discussion.
Yes. Let you know this is the 26th year that a block party has been hosted in front of my house. And I request support from the council. Previous to this, Councilor O'Keefe put this request in each year for quite a few years. And if you're bored and want to see a lot of kids' activities, please come on by this Saturday.
Councilor Dibble's motion this be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions. Councilor Gerard. Actually, sorry.
We have a request from the residents of Orchard Street to hold a block party between Dearborn and Foster Streets, September 24th, 2016, from 4 to 10 p.m.
Now, Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this be granted.
Councilor Gerard moves to be granted. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually a really great block party that the residents of Orchard Street have held last few years, and it's a lot of fun and also a lot of kids out. So hopefully you guys will stop by, and they will continue to have a fantastic block party.
Councilor Gerard's motion this be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guides, taxi cab, taxi operators, vehicle for hire, and vehicle for hire operator only.
Councilor McCarthy.
I move that these matters be granted.
Councilor McCarthy moves these be granted. Under discussion.
Does anyone want me to read these?
No.
No discussion.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion this be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a taxi operator license application.
Councilor McCarthy.
Move that it be denied.
Councilor McCarthy moves this be denied. Under discussion.
No discussion.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion for denial. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have 4 constable bonds.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these matters be referred to the Committee on License Orders and Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Councilor McCarthy moves these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, returned approved. Under discussion.
No discussion.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Traffic Chapter 42, Section 51B, parking prohibited, repeal Howard Street, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibited, resident sticker, repeal Howard Street.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for second and final passage.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption for second and final passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just quickly want to be clear that this is what is colloquially known as the Howard Street extension. This does not affect other ends of Howard Street. It is solely the Ward 6 end of Howard Street.
Councilor Gerard's motion for Councilor Famico.
I just want to commend the council from Ward 6 with all her work on this. She was a detective tracking down information between the planning department and I guess engineering and the traffic department, and it was months and months of detective work, and the result is something that going into it, I'm sure she didn't know it would be so much of a process, but well done on that.
On Councilor.
Thank you.
On Councilor Gerard's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Traffic Chapter 42, Section 74, towing zones, Jefferson Avenue, westerly side from 356 to Preston Road.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption, second and final passage.
Councilor Dibble moves for adoption for second and final passage. Under discussion.
None.
On Councilor Dibble's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance to amend Traffic Chapter 42, Section 74, towing zone, Sumner Road.
Councilor Dibble.
Again, thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and second and final passage.
Councilor Dibble moves for adoption for second and final passage. Under discussion.
None.
On Councilor Dibble's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Councilor McCarthy.
I was going to move to adjourn, but I see Councilor Gerard has her hand up.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Just a moment of personal privilege that while I do appreciate my counselor's good words, I'm very disappointed that I will be the only counselor running the bridge and back.
Oh, boy. We almost got away clean.
Oh, someone's going to have to fork up some cash.
Councilor McCarthy?
I defer to Councilor Sargent.
Councilor Sargent.
What?
Adjourn.
Please? In a minute. Okay, move adjourned.
Counselor Sargent moves to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.
My wife at home moves for adjournment.